What is going on, everyone? AP over here at Runpure Sports. I just want to say good morning to all of you and thank you for joining us at, what is it, 7:45 my time. It feels like it's 6:45. You'll notice Tambo's not here. He left me hosting this show. He's done a good job on the likes, but you know what? He's out there at King of the Beach, trying to be King of the Beach, probably is going to be King of the Beach. We got to show him up. He's been hitting a high like number. I think we can beat him today, and we're going to steal his material. We're going to use it all. And what I want all of you to do right when you start this show, how about you go and test it? Test out the like button. We got to make sure it works, and let's just see where we end at. Let me bring in my two guys. Title, what's going on, my man? We were talking right before the show. You had a little sweat in MMA. How'd your night end up?
Yeah, MMA last night. Got some stuff right. Got some stuff definitely wrong. In the 150, though, I had some of the right combinations in one lineup and needed the favorite font to get it done for me. In the big 18, I would have split second with one other person. It would have been about 30,000. And yeah, Rob Font got his ass beat by Jose Aldo. So although it's still good seeing him do it, it hurt my bank account, but it was a fun fight. It was a fun card. And then we got two cards to finish off the year. Next week, a pay-per-view, Oliveira, Dustin Poirier should be a lot of fun. But I respect you guys getting up every morning this early on Sundays and giving winners to the people, because it wasn't very easy waking up this morning. But hey, everyone watching too this early, we appreciate it. Hit the like button for AP and excited to dive into some winners.
Yeah, it's not easy, but that's what we do. We get up, we grind, and let me bring in my man, JT Hayes. God, look at that mug over there, looking all spry this morning. What's going on, JT? How you feeling?
Week 13, we've been doing this show at this time since week 2, and my body now knows it's Sunday, 7 o'clock. It's like, hey, asshole, get up. It's Sunday. You got to go out and talk to the people. So happy to be here. Tough day yesterday. Tough day for the Georgia Bulldogs. I was concerned going in that they hadn't faced anyone that was really any good whatsoever. And then they get to take on the Heisman, probably the Heisman winner in the quarterback. I think it's Bryce Young from Alabama. And man, he looked like an NFL quarterback. I mean, the level of NFL talent in that game yesterday. But good news is, my other concern was if Georgia beat Alabama and they had to face them again, they weren't likely to beat them twice. So I think they probably rematched the national championship. And to make myself feel a little better, I put up my Atlanta Braves bobbleheads back there. So I set that up, looked at it for a little while, and then I took a nice little nap. And now we're here, ready to talk NFL. Interesting slate. It feels to me like a much better slate than the ones that we've had the last couple of weeks. Got some decisions to make because some of these studs at higher prices are just in such delicious matchups. So excited to talk about with you and Title.
Yeah, I am as well. Got a rebound from last week. It's out of sight, out of mind for me. Last week was definitely a hurtful week for myself. Let's dive into, before we get into off the chalk, let's talk about our members never win segment. It's been absolutely crazy here, and we saw it again last night. NBA Saturday NBA has just been a complete print fest. I know our boy Didi Pinsack had a big night. He was sweating out that 777. I think he finished in second for a solid 40K. Shout out to him. And then, all week we've had monster hits, NFL Showdown. That's been the key. And it's just crazy, guys. It's like Showdown in these shorter slates are a printer, and we get to the main slate, and it's just been hurtful for me, at least. I don't know about you guys. Title, I'm sure you've absolutely crushed it. But it's going to change this week. I am dead set on that. I am so confident. You guys have an opinion on that? Showdown versus these main slates. Anything, come to mind? JT Hayes, kick it to you first.
The main slate, even the showdowns, right? I think the showdowns, if you watched that and it's on the site, so you can go and watch the recorded Showdown show that BigT, JSU, and special guest Whistles Go Woo made on Thursday. It was really interesting because a lot of great points. One of them being the best thing about the single gamers is you can kind of separate your, core players from your risky players and be pretty confident that you're going to get that 100% right. It's the guys who are scoring a whole bunch of, let's say, 10 plus fantasy points every week, and then a bunch of these other guys, right? When you add in the full slate, 12 games, the volatility this year has been a bit different. I don't know if it has to do with the expanded schedule, but even on these showdown slates, and I think people started talking about it internally here at Runpure about week 6, it's like, wait a second, what's going on? It's tight ends, it's backup running backs, it's number 3 and number 4 wide receivers, and it's coaches saying, hey, we've got these short weeks, and I'm going to get some of these other guys involved to keep the stars healthy. So on the main slates, it's been a good degree of volatility. The lower priced plays just haven't panned out like they have in years past. I think a couple of weeks ago was the first week we saw where, guys like Brandon Ayuk at 5K did well. But I mean, the first 5-6 weeks of the season, if you didn't have Cooper Kupp, you were kind of struggling to get into the cash. And you know what? When these studs have been in really, really good spots, I think DraftKings in particular has done a good job of pricing them up, but they produced so much that if you don't have them, you're kind of dead, which is a good segue into this week because we've got that same situation with some of these better players, higher price players in just the best matchups where they typically do well.
Yeah, it is a good segue into this week, and let's dive into it. This show is called Off the Chalk. What we're going to do is we're going to go position by position. We're going to talk about the chalkiest plays on the slate, and then we're going to talk about ways to get different. And we're going to talk about if we're eating that chalk or if we're pivoting to other plays, lower on plays for leverage. We're going to start with the running back. Tambo's been doing this on these interesting slates where running back has been a huge discussion point, which I think it is this week too. So we got Sony Michel, Antonio Gibson. A quick note on Sony Michel and why he's projected to be one of the higher owned running backs is, so they say they're going to test out Darrell Henderson, but they say he is somewhat unlikely. They're not confident in his ability to go today. It's not confirmed if he's going to be in or not, but that is why I'm showing his ownership to be projecting this morning. And then Jonathan Taylor. So those are the top 3 running backs. Title, I'm excited to have you on this show. We have a true cash game goat and expert in Titletown. Then we got, 2 tournament donkeys and myself and JT Hayes. And so it's going to be a nice contrast. And I think this is going to work out really well. Title, talk to me about the chalk at running back, these 3 plays. Are you eating this chalk or are you getting different?
Well, there's also, running back is completely loaded this week. The roster construction, 3 running backs you have to do that in cash games. Running back is so strong. Not only, the Sony Michel. So we won't, I doubt we have the Darrell Henderson news. I bet he tries to go through warmups. I'm going to predict that he is out, but the game is at 4:05. There's 4 games in the afternoon, which is good. So you can make some pivots, but if Henderson plays, you're giving up too much playing Michel. If Henderson's out, 4.3K, one of the highest totals on the slate in a good matchup against Jacksonville, definitely makes a lot of sense. We also have a lot of value though this week, so I don't think he'd be a must. You're taking on a little risk. I definitely would have another pivot, but I'm going with the assumption that he's out. Jonathan Taylor, he's been the best running back in football this year, 9.2K. Now gets pretty much the nuts matchup against Houston. Should be a game script, should get the ball a lot. He makes a lot of sense at 9.2, but the problem is this mid-tier in running back is absolutely loaded. Antonio Gibson is 5'7". J.D. McKissick isn't there. Jamal Williams, 5'4". DeAndre Swift is hurt. James Conner, 5'9". Elijah Mitchell, 6K. David Montgomery, 5'6". We have Alexander Madison. Dalvin Cook's obviously out. Get Detroit in a dome, 7.6K is very strong. So there's a bunch of running backs. I think right now the mid-tier build might be more popular. Yes, people might go and jam in a Jonathan Taylor, but I think Cooper Kupp's going to be more popular and go more mid-tier at running back and pay up at receiver. So that brings to the point, like a Joe Mixon at 8.1K. Leonard Fournette might get a little love, but 7.3K, he's played really good football. I think going a little above the Madison range, or going someone else in the mid-tier, like a Myles Gaskin, a Miles Sanders, they're going to be in the sub 10% range, single-digit ranges. So I think right now the mid-tier build at running back is looking to be the more popular one. And then the Michelle, people might take a risk on if Henderson is out, obviously, but we won't know that most likely.
One quick question before I send it over to JT Hayes. Title in cash games, do you think the cash game guys are leaving that flex spot open for like a Tony Michelle or Sony Michelle, and then will they just go up to like a Cooper Kupp? Because you have to think that with him being at 4,300, it's going to open up a ton of salary.
Yeah, so I've been messing around with it a little bit, still deciding. As of now, I am not planning on it just because of how strong running back is. We already have the plays with multiple other backup injuries or starting running backs that are out that now there's lead roles. So on the nature of the slate, my lean right now is no. I could come around to that a little bit, but I also just want to build what I believe to be the best team and then see how many 405 and 425 guys I have. And then that could sway me a little way, but I don't think as many people are going to do it. So I think Michelle might be a little lower owned than we think.
Yeah, I like that. All right, JT Hayes, let me bring you in. We got Sony Michelle, Antonio Gibson, Jonathan Taylor. Michelle with the assumption that Henderson is not going to be able to go today. What are you doing here at running back? Are you eating some of this chalk or are you getting different?
Yeah, I think Sony's fine. The distinction here, Jaguars 32nd ranked team against the pass, 14th against the rush. And in these matchups, particularly a matchup where they faced the Texans, yeah, Darrell Henderson did fine, but it was Cooper Kupp. It was Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp. And that's what I expect here. I expect, it looks like Odell Beckham Jr. is questionable, something with his knee. So they may be down a receiver, but I don't think anyone on this team is going to stop Cooper Kupp. I think that when you talk about Jonathan Taylor, the decision for me that I'm looking at in lineups is if I'm spending $9K on a position, do I want it to be Jonathan Taylor or do I want it to be Cooper Kupp? And the way I feel about this matchup is I think both teams are going to win easily, the Colts and the Rams. But I think if the Colts get up big, considering where they're headed in terms of on their way to the postseason, I think it's more likely that Taylor gets a little bit less work towards the end of that game than it is Cooper Kupp gets a little bit less work, because it almost feels like this is one of those 3 touchdowns, 11 catches, 150-yard weeks for Cooper Kupp. So I think that's where the Rams offense is going to go through. Gibson, I'm much higher on the pass attack for Washington. My favorite quarterback, if you're paying down, is Taylor Heineke. One of my favorite wide receivers on the slate is Terry McLaurin. And I think that, they did activate a backup. So, he's not a receiving backup, though. I don't think he's caught a pass. There was some stat I saw where in all of his time in college, he didn't catch a single pass. But it doesn't mean that Antonio Gibson is going to get that much more involved in the passing game. I think he's good. I think he's fine. But at his popularity, I like one of the guys that Title mentioned who I think is going to get overlooked here, and that's James Conner against a injury-ravaged Bears defense that a lot of people give more credit to just because of the name and the Bears at home than how good or bad they really are right now.
Yeah, very good points. Title, I'm going to kick it back over to you. Let me bring up a few names here just of these, what I would consider pretty strong considerations, but they're flying under the radar. We have Austin Eckler up against the Bengals, 8.3K on DraftKings. I'm showing very low ownership on him. And then, going down, I personally can't get there, but you got guys like Najee Harris, not too long ago. He was a popular guy, workhorse back. And we've seen players against Baltimore do fairly well, at least in the past. Are any of these names down here, the Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, some of these guys who have the potential for workhorse type role, who are going very, very overlooked, kind of like Jonathan Taylor did that week where he went off. He was very low owned. Any of these guys crossing your radar this week?
Yeah, the one guy, so running back is a position that there's so many good options this week and some good prices that I think it's better to kind of differentiate at other places. Wide receiver, quarterback, wide receiver is always so deep. The one guy that does stick out to me, though, is Joe Mixon at 8.1K. Same game as Austin Eckler, but The Bengals are quiet 3-point favorites, a 50-point total. Cincinnati's implied for 26.5 points. And we just saw what Joe Mixon did last week, where they got him the ball over 25 plus times. He's a complete stud. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He has home run upside, and Spread always talks about it. We do the Monday show, the NFL rundown. Definitely check out the bet side with Spread, but the Chargers team just gets gashed on the ground and they can't stop anybody. I expect them to get Joe Mixon the ball early and often. I'm seeing sub 10% ownership too. We saw what he could do last week with his upside. I think Joe Mixon makes some sense at 8.1K in the dead range for running back. So I don't mind an Eckler. I don't mind, and I wouldn't go Najee Harris. I don't mind an Eckler though, but I'm not going to be too overweight in that range. I'm kind of just going to pick one guy, and Mixon's my guy.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, one other comment, and JT Hayes, this kind of goes along the lines with what you said, but with Sony Michel, we often think like I think it was a couple weeks ago where all these backup running backs were in elite spots and they ended up being mega chalk and they all busted, like all of them busted. And, you know, NBA's in full swing. And I feel like the vibe in the industry was they took an NBA approach with the situation where if a key player is out, you have your next guy up and you're like, oh, the usage is going to be there. The opportunities are going to be there. Not always the case in NFL. And you bring up a good point with Cooper Kupp. And I love the fact that you said that because I'm very high on Kupp. I do feel like, so I'll be lower on Sony Michel. And if he beats me, he beats me, as we often say, but I just feel it's a spot where Stafford and Kupp do their thing. And, you know, Stafford looks good and, you know, people get excited about the team again. So I'm glad you said that. Let me kick it back over to you though, running back. Just talk about some of these lower on plays and then give us your top, you know, one or two options at running back this week.
Yeah. So talked about James Conner, Elijah Mitchell. I think Titletown mentioned the only concern there is a mild one that JaMychal Hasty is going to be active, it looks like, this week. But there's no question that Elijah Mitchell is the number one running back, the feature running back, 25 touches, rushes last week. He was involved in the passing game. And also remember, Deebo Samuel is out. Deebo Samuel has been the one threat to Elijah Mitchell because he was getting rushes out of the backfield. He did all his damage on the ground in last week's game, his 2 touchdowns, both rushing touchdowns. So I like Elijah Mitchell. You mentioned Najee Harris. I think Najee is interesting for tournaments because nobody's going to play him. Everyone is down on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And yeah, Ben looked bad last week. He always looks bad on the road. Mike Tomlin during the week said, hey, you're going to see some changes. They're going to change some things up. And I have to believe that is going to mean getting Najee Harris more involved, especially against a Ravens team that recently has been somewhat vulnerable to the ground game. So I think for tournaments, he's pretty interesting. Same kind of spot, like you mentioned, where nobody was going to play Jonathan Taylor, even though the Bills quietly had been giving up a lot of ground to opposing running backs. So I think those guys are interesting. Outside of those guys, I think Title mentioned Myles Gaskin. I think he's fine. I think people are going to overrate the Giants defense based on what they saw last week. It's just something about MetLife Stadium. There just never seems to be high scoring games there, which brings me to Philadelphia. And I'm going to be completely off of that backfield. I don't know what Nick Sirianni is going to do here. He's got, guys in the backfield. And I've said this before. It seems like he took Doug Peterson's playbook of never committing to a running back and is running with that strategy. It hasn't worked out well yet so far for the Eagles. And even though they're going to be missing Jalen Hurts, I just don't know what to expect, even against the NFL's worst defense.
Yeah. For running back for me this week, guys, I'm definitely going to eat some chalk, but how I'm getting different is a few things. I really like, I know it's going to sound dusty, but this Lions Minnesota game. I mean, if you go back and just look the history of this kind of rivalry, if you want to call it that, I mean, I think the Vikings have dusted them year in and year out, but usually we see a lot of points. And the first meeting this year, we did not see points, but we saw the running backs get a ton of volume on both sides. Obviously, Madison was, heavily involved in that game as well, and obviously went nuts with Cook out. But I just think like one thing that people don't do is they don't play running backs like the same running back from the game against each other. It goes against game script. It goes against everything that we as players like to consider. However, I just don't think that's going to be the case here. And I love the idea of playing the running backs against each other in that game. Both running backs get volume through dump offs out of the backfield, and we know that both running backs and Jamal Williams and Alexander Mattison are going to get all of the work on their team. So we know the target share, the rush volume is going to be there. So I love pairing those two because that's going to make me a little bit different because the field doesn't like to do that. And I think it's an interesting way to get exposure to that game and to eat some chalk while getting different. Obviously, love Jonathan Taylor. I mean, a smash spot for sure. JT Hayes, I'm with you. So I wrote that down. I love the Deebo Samuel note. Deebo Samuel's basically been their RB2 over the past few weeks. And so with him out, Mitchell's going to get a ton of volume there. So, for me, just to kind of wrap up the running back section, I think it's loaded, as Title said. I think you just got to, make some flag plants and get overweight on your plays. For me, I think what happened is Alexander Mattison was going to be chalk, relatively, very popular, maybe one of the more popular plays on the slate until all of these other running back plays came up. So I think his ownership came down just a little bit, that price. I think people are worried about, his ability to hit his ceiling there. I'm going to get overweight on him. I'm going to get overweight on pairing those two running backs against each other in that game. And that's one way I'm going to be getting different and off the chalk this week. Title, did you give your top one or two running back plays on the week?
So Mixon I like is the contrarian play, but it doesn't take too much to get overweight on him. I think that some of this chalk is good chalk, like I was saying. Jamal Williams at 5.4K. You were talking in that same game. Jamal Williams is a really good running back. Back when he was at Green Bay, he ran really hard. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. We've seen spots with DeAndre Swift this year in the past that even if they're down 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, he'll still be in. He'll still be catching dump offs and getting those garbage time points. I think 5.4K for Jamal Williams is really strong. Then I'll say my second favorite is James Conner at 5.9K. I like that JT also likes him, but we just saw it was only a couple of weeks ago where James Conner just absolutely exploded. He has no competition in the backfield. He's going to have some ownership, but we talked about Elijah Mitchell, Gibson, Montgomery, Jonathan Taylor. There's so many good running backs. I like going Williams. I like the price tag of Elijah Mitchell and the upside at 6K. No Deebo there, who, was pretty much turning into another running back. It was hard not to give him the ball. Red zone opportunity for Deebo. He was getting carries too. So I think it's Mitchell all day. I think they want to establish the run. I think that they're going to be playing from a good script. So my favorite two, Jamal Williams, Elijah Mitchell, but a Joe Mixon to mix in at sub 10% ownership would be my favorite low own play.
All right, guys. I'm looking at the like button right now, and we're at 92. We're making an okay pace. Again, I'm trying to fill the shoes of Tambo, who took the morning off. He's out on a beach trying to be the king. We got to show him up. We got to get that like button up. JT Hayes, real quick. How do you think we're doing on the likes? You think we're doing good? Do you think the pace is looking good so far?
Very disappointed in the viewers right now. As you mentioned, Tambo abandoned us. He abandoned us. There's no reason why he can't be doing the show from Miami. You did the show at 3:00 in the morning from a hotel in California, right? And here we are early on Sunday, excited to be with you all. Let's get to 150 in the next 5 minutes. Otherwise, very simply put, no plays of the day. So 150, next 5 minutes. There will be another benchmark right after that because with 350 watching, there's no reason why we shouldn't have at least 300 likes. Let's go, people.
Yeah, getting off the chalk for our off the chalk plays of the day will be kind of interesting, but we saw it. I posted that screenshot on Twitter of my good buddy. He lives right by me. He woke up that morning, put 2 lineups into the millie, super hungover. And he's literally playing a quarterback, Justin Herbert, naked. No receivers, and then playing the defense against them, and then just clicking random buttons, and he was live in the middle.
That was crazy.
If Higbee would have done anything, this dude would have won $1 million. But I mean, he did, like, it's just crazy. So we all get very convicted about these plays, but again, I do think the NFL is one of the more higher volatile, week to week sports out there, especially for DFS. So we get locked into some of these plays sometimes, and it's like, I don't see how that play can fail, and then it does. So you have to open up your mind a little bit. And, I've learned my lesson a few different times where I'm locked into a play, and you got to understand that this play could fail, but you got to just make sure your build makes sense. You got to make sure that you go overweight and you feel good going into the week. And so let's get on to the quarterback. So for me, just real quick, quarterback, I came in, I'm like, I hate quarterback this week. And now we get Gardner Minshew, 4K coming in here. So let me pull up the ownership projections. I don't think mine have updated, because I do think Gardner Minshew is going to be one of the more popular quarterbacks on the week, but I'm showing Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and I would throw Gardner Minshew in there. Tyler, let me kick it over to you first. Are you eating the chalk at quarterback? And do you agree, you're a cash guy. Do you think Gardner Minshew is going to be fairly popular today?
Yeah, I mean, quarterback on DraftKings, there's a lot of ways to go. There's Minshew all the way down at 4K, which is definitely going to get some ownership. He gets the Jets, which everyone likes to get the Jets, steps in a good spot. We've seen him play in the NFL before, has an arm. So it's not like a Mike Glennon or a really subpar quarterback you're nervous for. I definitely think Gardner gets some at 4K, but I think Brady gets some ownership too at 7-2. I don't even know where I'm going to go for sure yet, but we just talked about the mid-tier value at running back. If you go Sony Michel, you definitely do not need to go a Gardner Minshew too. So I think Brady and Minshew will be the two highest owned. And in tournaments, if I'm seeing right now, Gardner Minshew 20%. If that is the case, I'm not going to play a 20% Gardner Minshew on a slate. We have a lot of salary and a lot of value otherwise. So cash games, yeah, I think Minshew, I think Brady are probably the ways to go. Even a Herbert if you need the 500, but I think it's one of those two. Tournaments, though, 20% Minshew, I just can't do that. I'd rather go Tom Brady. I know he is supposed to be, he's still going to get some ownership. I think it'll be a little less, but I mean, we saw what Tom Brady did to the Falcons earlier in the year. We'll let JT talk about his Falcons, but Tom Brady's going to probably eat him alive. He gets to play in a dome. We see, even if they're up 21, why I like playing a Tom Brady is because they still sling the rock up 21 sometimes. Now, Fournette, we didn't talk about him as much running back, and I think he makes sense as leverage off of Brady too. But I mean, they've been running the ball lately. I expect the Falcons to try and stop it, but Brady slings it up 21 too. I'd go and rather eat the chalk with Brady and chase his upside rather than even a chalkier Minshew for tournaments.
Yeah, and I will say ownership at quarterback typically does spread out. So we will see that. But I do see some clear chalk plays this week. JT Hayes, we got to kick it back over to you. Brady, Minshew, Herbert, Lamar Jackson. What are you doing with these guys?
Yeah, I mean, AP, by now, week 13, you have to know that I'm totally on board with any quarterback against my Atlanta Falcons, right? I mean, I've got season tickets to the Falcons. I'm not even going to the goddamn game because I'd rather go to my favorite sports bar and watch all the other games and not have to sit through the embarrassment, because there's two plays on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that I think are going to be smash. But I should say there's three plays that I think are going to be smash plays. One of them is Tom Brady. The other is the defense. We'll talk about the third one when we get to wide receiver, but I don't think there's any question that Brady is going to rebound. That was a very weird week, and I felt it. On last Sunday's show, I said, I'm not on board with Tom Brady. I know that game has the highest total of the week. Didn't really expect that Leonard Fournette was going to go nuclear. I think Leonard Fournette is a fine option today. I definitely expect much, much less than last week's performance because I think they get back on track with the receivers, whether it's a pass funnel defense or just a injured backfield, defensive backfield. The Falcons just don't have any answers for an offense of this caliber. And it's a big downgrade in competition for the Bucs. They go up against the Colts, who are now finally healthy on the defensive line and in the defensive backfield. And now they take on the exact opposite in a dome. Yes, it's a divisional matchup. I don't think it's going to matter today. So I'm on board with Brady. I'm going to have a sprinkle of Lamar Jackson. The thing is, I don't know how highly owned Lamar is going to end up being. He's the highest priced quarterback on the slate. And it's damn near impossible to pair this guy with anybody on this team because they spread the ball around. They don't really pass as much as you would think, not as much as they were doing earlier in the season. But against a Pittsburgh defense that's giving up the fourth or fifth most of points to opposing running backs over the course of the last 6 weeks, I think it's almost a guarantee that Lamar gets 100 yards rushing. So Gardner Minshew, is this his fourth team since he was the star of the Jaguars and Minshew Mania for like 6 weeks and then they moved away? So the Eagles offense is just, I don't like it with Hurts. I like it a lot less with Gardner Minshew. So pretty confident I'm not going to have any Gardner Minshew today.
Yeah, one more point about that and kind of why in tournaments I don't like as much. I still do stack almost every single time. At 4K, you don't need to really, but I mean, yeah, Gardner Minshew, he can run a little bit. He's not typically a runner though. I just can't find anyone I feel comfortable with stacking with him on this slate. So that's kind of why I don't really like it. And then I do like running it back. Again, you don't have to run it back, but like I'm not playing any Jets this week too. So I can find pairings for Brady. I can find pairings for other. It's kind of gross trying to stack up Minshew, which is another reason I don't really like it as much.
Yeah, I don't think you want to play Falcons this week either, though. I'm not worried about bringing it back with Tom Brady stacks. With the Eagles, here's the disappointing thing. I actually had a lot of interest in Dallas Goedert. Didn't have a great week last week. Figured that, especially with Sanders injured, questionable, whatever it is, he would have a big week. But again, you bring up a great point. Targeting those receivers when we have Matthew Stafford on the slate and his receivers, Brady and his receivers. You've got Carson Wentz and his receivers. Why do I want to take a chance on these guys who have to play with shitty quarterbacks?
Yep.
Yeah, you guys bring up really good points. Last night I was kind of tinkering with my QB pool a little bit, and I threw Gardner Minshew in there because I was like, oh man, if I could get him a little lower owned. This is like late at night, and I'm like, he's completely steamed up, and I think he is going to be a pretty popular play, even in tournaments, because that's what people like to do. And I do worry about just the game environment. Like I could see the defenses here accounting for a couple of the touchdowns. Like I could see, oh man, you got Boston Scott, a backup running back who probably will find the end zone. And he's expected to play again. And this game just feels like it could get really dirty. But what it's going to do is it's going to make so Jared Goff, I know, complete dust ball. But in the first half on Thanksgiving Day, he was efficient. I think he was like 18 for 18 or something. Easy passes. He had some nice flow going, 2 touchdowns. I want to target games that I think are going to shoot out, and I'm just going to lean on this Vikings-Lions game. We've seen the Vikings be in shootouts almost each and every week. If Goff can be anything efficient at all, he's going to be unowned on the slate, especially with Gardner Minshew. Before the Gardner Minshew news, he was getting a little bit of ownership. He was. I talked to a few people, and other people kind of mentioned his name just in game stacks. But now I am confident he's going to be unowned, and he frees up everything, just like Minshew does. But you compare him with his boy Josh Reynolds. I love the connection that they got, and what that allows me to do is bring it back with Jefferson, bring it back with Madison. And if we get points in this game, I'm fairly confident that we know where these points are going to come from. Jamal Williams, Madison, Reynolds, Jefferson, these guys in a shootout. So I have a little interest in Goff. I know it's a dusty take, but I'm back on I know last week was like correlation stacks did not work. I'm not going away from that. I hope other people do. I hope people, see the builds that were out there and just go, oh, I'm going to go all ran. I'm going to, what I see happening is with Minshew builds, it allows you to get all the studs. So people are going to pay up, get all the studs in uncorrelated lineups. And all it takes is for one of them to bust. And, your stacking builds are going to make a lot of sense. So my other quarterback that I really like, Taylor Heineke up there, another guy cheap. but I think the game environment's going to be good. I mean, this Raiders defense is not good. It's in a dome there. We've seen them involved in a lot of shootouts. So Taylor Heineke is another interesting play. Title, let me kick it back to you. Just kind of revisit some of these less chalky quarterbacks and games that you're looking at this week.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think you made a really good point about I'm still on the stacking board. I still will be. I hope people keep looking at lineups that are winning GPPs. And yeah, a lot of them haven't really been stacks, but just like baseball, if you one off every single hitter that hits home runs, you don't need to stack. You have the home runs, but the easier path. And like if a team puts up 12 and you have 5 guys, you don't need home runs. You can have doubles, couple RBIs, they knock you in and score runs. Less things need to go right for stacking to get you to the top rather than one-offing every touchdown. So I'm on the stacking train as well too. I love your Heineke call. I like both quarterbacks in that game. They're my 2 favorite tournament GPPs, 6K, 5.6K. I have one guy after I'll mention, but why I like it so much too, like you said, in a dome, a 48 total, 25 implied total for the Raiders, 23 for Washington. It should be a close game. I expect them both to sling it. 2 not very good defenses. And Carr. So you have Foster Moreau, who's the clear chalk at tight end. I think he is very good chalk. He's a good tight end himself. The price hasn't adjusted without Waller. We saw him get there last time when Waller was out too. Carr, it makes you get a pairing with Foster Moreau. You hope he throws him a touchdown. A lot of people won't be playing the Derek Carr. So if you eat chalk, you get some points, 4 more points than other people do. And as far as Heineke, I think you can pair Heineke with an Antonio Gibson too. You can do Scary Terry, but on paper and in the vacuum, Antonio Gibson's a better play. He just caught 7 passes from Heineke last game. Now they don't have J.D. McKissick, their pass catching back. I think, again, if you play Antonio Gibson, who gets some ownership as well, a way to not leverage off that, but get some onslaught in that game is to just play the quarterback with them. So I think Heineke makes sense. He has some rushing upside as well. 5-6 for Heineke, 6K for Derek Carr. And this slate is more like a raw points. I mean, if Gardner Minshew scores 17 and Heineke gets you 21, even though there's a 1,600 difference, there's so much value on this slate. The raw points can just mean more for Heineke maybe. So Heineke, Carr, the last guy I'll mention in tournaments, I play him pretty much every week, is Justin Herbert at 6.7K. I think that'll be a good game. I do have interest in Joe Mixon, who's going to be low owned. So I like going to Joe Mixon, a Herbert. You can play a Keenan Allen, a Mike Williams, something like that. We know the upside Herbert has as well. So the guys in the Vegas game, Heineke, Carr, and then Justin Herbert are my favorite 3 tournament plays.
Yeah, very good. JT Hayes, did you talk about Matt Stafford? Because I know you were talking about Kupp earlier, because I think Stafford is a really interesting and strong pivot off of Brady, who I do think is going to be chalk. I mean, go back and look at Stafford in some of these matchups. One against the Lions absolutely went off. Giants went off. Texans had a good game. So talk to us a little bit about Stafford and maybe some of these other higher priced quarterbacks that are going overlooked.
Yeah, the Rams game, one of the games I wrote up for the Gems article. Before I get to that, let's get to 225 likes by the time we're done with quarterback. Got to keep going. Got to keep moving forward. We were at 400 a couple of weeks ago. 225, it's 439 watching. That's just another 75 likes. But I do like Stafford. I think I don't think there's any question. I think you can pencil Stafford in for 30 DraftKings points right now. How far above that he gets is dependent on, I think, the game flow. That's why I like the Kupp connection here, because you mentioned in these matchups that are very easy, the Rams this season, as opposed to last season when they were run, this season, because they have Stafford, they've been throwing the ball. They've been passing well into the fourth quarter. In that Texans game, it was, I didn't have any Cooper Kupp. I was excited because they were ahead by so many points. And then the Texans scored a couple of points in the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden, here comes the Rams offense back again. And here comes Cooper Kupp again to knock me further down in cash. So I think he's a great play. You guys were talking about Taylor Heineke. He's, I think, points per dollar, my number 1 guy on the slate. He's probably going to be the guy I have in my main lineup. And I like Terry McLaurin this week. Terry McLaurin, in terms of cornerback ratings, draws the best individual matchup. They got a cornerback on the Raiders who's been giving up at least 100 yards to opposing wide receivers every single matchup. even in the game against Dallas, they won on Thanksgiving Day. I think Dallas had two receivers, Cedric Wilson and Michael Gallup, who went for 100-yard games. Dalton Schultz went for a big game there, got into the box. We'll get to that when we get to the tight ends. But I think that those, Heineke and Stafford, are very good plays in the late games. I got to be honest. I got to say it. I don't know if I can get to Jared Goff here this week. You're right. Goff was efficient last week. Keep in mind, that was against a Bears defense that was injured and not playing so well on the road. I actually have some interest in the Vikings defense this week.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem. I know it's for me, it's purely kind of leverage off of some of those other cheaper and betting on a little bit of a back and forth game environment. And one other thing is, like, I'm always like, what's the dustiest thing that I could see happening this week? Because that seems to win each and every week. And
yeah, that's
Lions Vikings shootout. I mean, we've seen the Lions. I think they've been a cover machine too, because they keep getting in these games that they almost win, and then their coach is an idiot and they lose. And so they're going to need points today to keep up with the Vikings. And the spread is 7. If they cover again, that means that the Lions are going to have to put up points. But they could come through Jamal Williams as well. But yeah, I mean, if Stafford gets 30, if I knew that right now, I would lock him into every single lineup.
I don't think there's any question. I don't think there's any question that he does.
He moon rocketed up my sheet. He's like, I like that call. Like, it's just a guy I overlooked, because I kept looking at Brady and I'm like, oh, this is going to be Brady's week. But man, they just love to highlight Matt Stafford in these games. And it's with Minshew, and with how, like, just, I don't know, kind of bad quarterback was looking. It just was easy to overlook him at that price. And it's going to force you to maybe go down at running back a little bit, or at value at receiver, which we do need to get to. So because we got the morning wood coming up with Holden, Hoop, and Big T at the top of the hour. So let's get on over to the wide receiver title. I'm going to kick it to you. Let me pull up ownership real quick. We're showing Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, and Hunter Renfrow as the top 3 projected owned wide receivers on the slate. What are you doing at receiver this week?
Yeah, so Cooper Kupp's a big question, because I definitely expect him to be one of the highest owned. We talked about value. We have the Minshew value. We have cheap running backs, and that just naturally leads you to pay up. I mean, we have the cheap tight end we're going to get to. Naturally leads you to pay up at wide receiver. I think Cooper Kupp's good chalk. Why I've had a success this year in the beginning of the year was I just pretty much played Cooper Kupp every single game, and he just smashed. Now they don't have Robert Woods, who, yes, OBJ is in consideration. I don't mind Odell Beckham at 5.5K, but he doesn't have the same target share and the same role as a Robert Woods does. So Cooper Kupp, a very good play. How you get different in the upper tier, though, my favorite to do it is, I pretty much say it all the time, Justin Jefferson at 8.2K. Nobody on this Detroit team is going to be able to stop him. They're in a dome. I see him absolutely having a field day. And Madison has got some ownership boosts as the week's gone on. So you get natural leverage off of Madison to the Justin Jefferson. Another guy up top that you can always play, Jamar Chase, 7K. In that same Herbert game, if you are going to go a Herbert or Keenan, Chase is going to be 5% owned or something. We've seen this script in the past. I just like betting on talented guys that have a lot of upside and big playability. So Chase 7K, Jefferson 8.2 are my guys in the upper tier I like. But you got to make a decision with Cooper Kupp. And if you don't play him, I think going a Van Jefferson, or, I mean, you can go Michelle, or a Van Jefferson or an Odell makes a lot of sense, because, man, you got to expect, like, JT, if Stafford's getting 30 points, some of these receivers are absolutely going to go off.
God, I love that call. Sorry, not trying to interrupt you, but man, I do love that call. Now looking at the pricing, like, you can run Matt Stafford doubles pretty easily. I mean, easily.
Yeah. I mean, Odell and Van Jefferson have good prices. Van Jefferson's my preferred right now, but, like, I think it's close. 30.5 applied total for the Rams, the highest on the slate. Somebody's going to get there against this bad Jacksonville team. And then going right back, just 2 more names before JT. LaVisca on the other side, 4.4. Marvin Jones, 4.7. It's gross. They're going to be 5% for a reason, but They're going to be playing from behind. They're going to have to sling the rock a lot. If you think that these Rams absolutely go off and get there and score points, I think that someone on the other side is going to have to get a touchdown or two. So Visca and Marvin Jones, 4-7, 4-4 would be my favorite price tags, and they should be low owned.
Yeah, very good. I like those calls quite a bit. JT Hayes, kick it over to you. Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin, Hunter Renfrow are the projected top, owned plays at wide receiver this week. What are you doing with these guys? Eating the chalk. I do think I know the answer to one of those guys, but what are you doing with the other ones?
Yeah, let me first start with a couple of guys in chat that need some attention. They've been asking for attention for a few minutes, and I want to give it to them. My guy, Big Shoppa, he says he was disappointed in our opinions. Then he's been a little bit surly and more combative. Listen, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. But if you're disappointed, you can always go watch reruns of The View. I mean, that's always an option for you to do on a Sunday morning. You're choosing to be here. I'm glad you're here. Let's be a little bit more positive and cooperative. As for Kay Fowler,
he thinks we're getting points for practice. It sounds like in the chat. He's if you don't practice or not that much, then you don't get points on Sunday, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the way it works, isn't it? I mean, you never see a guy who was limited or I don't know. We'll see what happens. But then another guy, my buddy, our guy, Kay Fallick. Kay Fallick seemed shocked at my 30-point prediction for Matthew Stafford. I don't know why, because he just scored 27 outdoors in Green Bay. Now he's home against the 32nd ranked passing defense in the Jacksonville Jaguars. And remember what happened when the Jaguars went into Seattle to play not Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf lit up this secondary. Matthew Stafford's going to have a big day. I may be underselling it with 30 DraftKings points.
All right, JTA. The show's over. We got our plays. Wrap it up. Lock him in. Just, go make a beverage. Oh, I'm so sold. I love it. Oh, gosh. I absolutely love the call, man. I think it's a brilliant take.
So here's at least the way I'm trying to build lineups. It's going to involve Cooper Kupp. Already talked about that. Title mentioned Justin Jefferson. I'm just sick that you mentioned it before I could mention it because
my boy.
I love Justin Jefferson this week. I played him almost every week except for the week that he got 40 points. I was off him that week, but I'm back on him this week. My third guy, it's kind of a toss-up. It's between Mike Evans and Terry McLaurin. I think this is a big week. Really good opportunity here, as I mentioned, for Terry McLaurin against the Raiders' defensive backfield. And if you stay in that 6K range and you play either the chalky tight end or the tight end with one of my favorite quarterbacks, who's at his cheapest price point this week, I'm talking about the Rams again here, then you can fit two of those higher price receivers. You can easily get Justin Jefferson and Cooper Kupp, or Cooper Kupp and McLaurin, or one of them and Evans. You may even be able to fit two of them in Evans if you pay all the way down on defense. It's disgusting, but if you play the Jets, then you might even be able to get to two of those guys. And that gives you such upside in your lineup with those running backs that we talked about that are in the mid-range and that higher price stack, whether it's Stafford or Brady and one of those receivers adding Kupp in. I think that's my preferred route this week.
Gosh, I mean, I'm excited now. I love the call. I think that's great. Receiver for me. I honestly don't even know how to follow that up, JT Hayes. Like, that's just phenomenal stuff, as always. But yeah, I'm with Title on Jefferson for sure. I mean, this guy feels like he's always a little bit underowned, and he's got. I mean, you're going to pull, first quarter, breaks a 70-yard touchdown catch. I mean, it's just like this guy is an absolute machine. I love Cooper Kupp, though, this week, too. It feels like it's too easy to get sucked into this mid-tier, wide receiver build. And so I just want to stay away from that. I mean, especially with two guys that have slate breaking capabilities in Kupp and Jefferson, and you can throw Terry McLaurin into the mix too. A guy I think I'm going to be personally under on is Keenan Allen. I mean, he's a target monster. Him and Deontay Johnson, you can make the case. They're target monsters. They're safe. Their floor is going to be there. I just don't know if they're winning me a tournament this week. And I want the guys that can win me a tournament, which is Cooper Kupp. Even as Chalk, he can win you a tournament. And Justin Jefferson and Terry McLaurin. I think, I think those three specifically for me. Do you guys have any comments on like DK Metcalf and the Seahawks? I mean, I've almost just like kind of crossed them off. I don't know if that's a mistake though. Maybe I'm overlooking it. I've done that in the past. It's NFL. We all make mistakes, but they're getting no love at all. Coach speak, say it is what it is, but says, we got to get DK Metcalf the ball more. And we've seen the 49ers in high total games. Is this a spot where you guys are looking at him at all? I mean, cheap price tag, and we know what he can do if he can get the ball. Title, start with you.
I'm on the same boat as you. Ever since that Green Bay game, I lost some cheese on him. Russ obviously wasn't healthy. I still don't think he's fully healthy. Pete Carroll's a donkey. This offense has no chemistry. They can't move the football. Got a little cheese back with them. I'm betting against them against Washington. I'm just going to keep crossing them off until I see something. So if DK Metcalf beats me, freak talent, I'll move on with my week at 3% or whatever. But I'm just crossing off the Seattle side. They're dusty right now.
Seems like ever since he had that little where he made that chick drive like 4 or 5 hours, and then she wasn't down with the 3-way or 4-way, whatever it was. I mean, and then made a drive. Ever since then, I mean, the bad mojo. Should have been more respectful in that situation. JTAs, are you getting on the Seahawks at all? I mean, we didn't talk about Russ. Are you kind of in agreement with us? Just writing them off.
I mean, do you want to play the team that just signed Adrian Peterson? I mean,
not really.
Kind of like, and then
establish it with Adrian Peterson. Establish it. Oh gosh.
And then for Carroll to say that he's always loved the guy since he was in college and he recruited him, and I'm like, jeez. All right, but that was 30 years ago. I mean, what are we doing? I don't know if the point's valid, and no one's going to play these guys. So if you're building a bunch of lineups in the Millie Maker, sure. But I don't know. Russ did not look very good. They certainly are not letting him cook, so to speak. And he doesn't seem to have much of a connection this season with DK Metcalf, right? All the talk is how he and Lockett went to Bible study or did something religious together, whatever it was. And it's been Lockett that he's looking for. So I just prefer these other spots so much more.
I got 3 names I'll throw out to you guys. A couple people in chat are asking about it. They're going to get some ownership, and you two are the main tournament players. So Hunter Renfrow at 5'8" with a really good price. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel's not there, 5'6". Ayuk's pretty much taken over as the number 1. And then someone asked in chat about Jalen Waddle. So Devontae Parker is activated. He's only 3.9K. Was expected to have a big role in this offense coming in. Jalen Waddle's been a complete stud. His price has risen, but I think the ownership stays down. JT, you can talk first, then AP, and then you can segue somewhere else. But Renfrow, Ayuk, and then talk about the Miami Parker and Waddle situation.
Yeah, Renfrow had a really, really good game. Flashed actually ceiling upside against the Cowboys that he hasn't in some time. I kind of have some interest in the Washington defense here at 2.5. I mean, quietly, they've been playing much, much better. Look, the last 3 weeks on a 3-game winning streak, including games against the Tampa Bay Bucks, who they held down at home, held them to 21 points. They beat the Seahawks on Monday night, held them, I think it was, to 19 points. So I'm a little bit lower on the Vegas guys outside of Foster Moreau, who we'll talk about. Did you say Devontae Parker is 3.9K?
3.9K, 5.4 on FanDuel. The price, for the talents, it's.
I hadn't gotten to looking at that price tag on receivers because I knew I could stay in the mid range. But 3.9 for Parker is kind of like the difference between trying to get up to Austin Eckler or staying down in that 6K range. And I like it because when Parker's been in and he's been healthy, he's getting like eight targets at least. And against, like I said, a Giants defense that I think people will overrate because of their performance last week, where a lot of the attention is going to be on Jalen Waddle. Interesting spot for him. Interesting spot for Mike Gesicki. And then one more note, my guy, Big Shoppa, I like it. You're coming around. But you're saying we get paid to do this? If I told you how much I was making, you would call the police and accuse Runpure Sports of human trafficking. I am doing this for the love of the game and my fellow people and you all. So come on, let's get to 250 likes. We've got 8 minutes before we get out of here. We get to 250, we get some tasty plays of the day. I think you guys can already see where we're going with this.
Yeah, for me, Parker's interesting. A 39 total there. The Giants defense has been better. Maybe I'm in the camp of overrating them, as JT said. I'll put my hand up. But I want to avoid this game. I think it looks like a gross game. But if I landed on Parker at 3.9K on DraftKings, I would be fine with it. But I don't know if I want to also avoid kind of random one-offs too. As long as the other parts of my build are stacked up and correlated. But we got to get moving along. We got to move over to tight end. We obviously have a really interesting situation at tight end with Darren Waller, the baller, as Tambo says. Speaking of Tambo, he's out on a beach. We got to hit the like button for him, guys and gals. We got to get those likes up, and we got to do it for Tambo. Okay, we got to do it for our guy, and we got to do it for all of our people watching, trying to be the king or queen of the beach this week. Let's get on to tight end though. Foster Moreau, title. I'm going to start with you. What are you doing at tight end? Are you eating the Foster Moreau chalk?
I am. I think it's good chalk. Like I was talking about earlier, he's a good tight end himself. He's athletic. He can make plays. He's not a stiff out there that's just stepping in. We saw him get there in the past too. 2.7K, we talked about receivers, a Cooper Kupp. If you want a Jonathan Taylor, if you like Tom Brady stacks like we do, it just gets you everything, and he has a lot of upside. So I'm going Foster Moreau. I'm going to have a ton of them. The only other, Kyle Pitts at 5'6", Matt Ryan is so dusty. He just doesn't get him the football. I don't want to pay that. Now, Rob Gronkowski at 5.3K, he's going to be a little lower owned because everyone's going to go Foster. No one's going to go 2 tight end route. I think Gronk, going back to him, he looks healthy. He's showing a big upside. I think him at 5.3, if I'm not going to go Foster, would be one of them. And then James O'Shaughnessy at 2.6K is the direct pivot for a fraction of the ownership in the same price range. It'll still have you on the same build since Foster's 2.7, O'Shaughnessy's 2.6, but there's no Dan Arnold in the equation. We saw Dan Arnold was pretty much wide receiver 1 for a little while. O'Shaughnessy's going to run all the routes. He's going to get volume. 2.6K in a trailing script. It can make sense if you want to really try and get off the board in MME. Fraction of the ownership, same price range. But I think Foster is clearly the best play, and I think it's good chalk.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you this week as well. But first, JT Hayes, what are your thoughts this week? In tournaments with Foster, 2.7K, going to be very high owned. What are you doing with this spot?
Yeah. Such great mojo in chat, by the way. Aura dropping in to just leave a like. Aura and Gatekeeper flirting. Jay Reed says we get the like and not Holden. I love it. We're just 11 away from that 250. Let's get there. The thing about Foster Moreau is he was getting some targets even when Waller was in the game. It's a game a couple of weeks ago where he came in on a third down, gets the touchdown, gets in the box. So I like him at 2.7. He makes a lot of things work in the lineups that I'm building, but you can get a little bit higher too. You can go to Logan Thomas, who's now finally healthy. Logan Thomas saw very, very high volume earlier in the season when he was healthy. He got hurt. This is, I think, his third game back now. Love this environment for Heineke and his pass catchers. The other lower price tight end that I think is going to be overlooked in a really, really good spot is Tyler Higbee. Tyler Higbee on the Rams, 3.8K. If you're going with that onslaught, which is the way that I think that game goes, I think you can pair Stafford, Kupp, Higbee, and now you've got that flexibility to get another higher price receiver and then maybe stay in that mid-range at running back. And then Mike Gesicki, interesting spot. Giants have been a little bit worse than league average against the tight end position. And as far as paying up at tight end, you've got Andrews and Kittle on the slate. It just hasn't been the construction. It hasn't been the winning construction. The way to go has been to pay down at this position, embrace that volatility here. title mention, O'Shaughnessy, I'm kind of off of this Jaguars team. They just don't do enough. Dan Arnold was the guy who was the beneficiary. He was getting all the work. So maybe that translates, but I just think there are better plays with more upside this week that I'm going to gravitate to.
Yeah. Tight end, like it's just such a volatile, position. I mean, we saw George Kittle in a great spot last week, only get 2 targets. 2.7K on a team that loves throwing to the tight end, that's going to get all of the volume. I know I'm a tournament player, but I don't mind eating that chalk at all. I want to stay cheap at tight end this week as well. I don't find myself paying up. So I'm with you this week. I think both of you on eating that chalk. Let's get over to defense as we wrap this up. Defense is always our favorite thing to talk about. Last week, my buddy, my neighbor, he's playing a defense against his quarterback, playing on the narrative that his quarterback is going to throw a pick 6, and then he's going to eat up all that garbage time, which is what happened in Showdown this week. I mean, there is a case to be made. I mean, I don't think I can do it, but what are we doing at defense this week? Dolphins are projecting to be mega chalk, and rightfully so in the spot that they're in, but still defense avoiding the chalk has just been a printer as well. Title, I'm going to start with you. What are you doing at defense this week?
Yeah, defense is never a position I really prioritize. I like it, like a running back defense is a correlation that isn't as strong as quarterback receiver stuff. But if it kind of fits my builds, like last week, I had Mixon and Bengals D on FanDuel. You just get it. If they're up by a lot, they're going to be running the football. The other team's got to throw the ball more, which is more opportunity for points and pick 6s and stuff. Dolphins look to be the chalk right now against Mike Glennon, 3.3K. We talked about how we have so much salary on the slate. Like, I don't think we need to be dumpster diving this week with some of these defenses. I think we chase some upside. I don't mind the Eagles against Zach Wilson, another mistake-prone guy that can throw pick 6s, and you hope that the Eagles play from ahead too, and Zach has to sling the ball. A 49ers at very low ownership. If we are off the Seahawks like I am, and we just think the offense is broken, they can get to Russell Wilson a little bit. The Colts at 3.7, like, you're paying a little more than I usually want to, but if you overspend a little bit on a slate, we have a lot. The Houston Texans, Tyrod Taylor, he can make a lot of mistakes. Colts have a pretty solid defense. I don't have too many strong takes. I agree the Dolphins are going to be pretty chalky. I mix them in my MME, but I play defense pretty thin. I spread it out kind of a lot in my 150 builds because there's so much variance. I like to try and get the secondary correlation if I can.
Tyler likes to spread it out. Very good. JT Hayes.
Defenses, yeah. I don't take defense stands too many.
JT Hayes, you always have some very sharp defensive takes. Where are you at this week?
Yeah, 262 likes, by the way. Let's get to 300 just for Big Shoppa. I know he would love to see it. That's just 38 more. Let's go. I'm going to try and get to the Buccaneers at 3.5 if I can. I think that their defensive pass rush is going to get to Matt Ryan all day long. He just cannot escape that pocket. He's got limited mobility at this stage of his career, which is awful because he was such a great quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons for so long. But I almost expect the pick 6 here, at least one of them, if not another scoop and score, the way that they can get to the quarterback and the way that Matty plays it at this point in his career. So I like them. If I can get to the 3.5, I can get there. I'll do it. I like the Redskins as a lower priced one, 2.5K. The Raiders coming off just an absolutely impressive win. Would not surprise me the least to see them have a little bit of a letdown here, to see Derek Carr have a little bit of regression here. We were talking about the Seahawks a little while ago. They're going to bring Adrian Peterson in and put the ball in his hands. And that means I like the Niners defense here at 3.0. I think they're in play for me as well. And then Arizona, another start here for Andy Dalton. We didn't talk about the Bears receivers, but looks like Allen Robinson will miss. I actually don't mind Darnell Mooney in tournaments. Just seems to get 8-9 targets every week. But on the opposite side of that, don't mind the Arizona Cardinals defense. And then we talked about either one of those defense in the MetLife game. That stadium just never seems to put out big offensive output games. And you've got Gardner Minshew and Zach Wilson one of those two defenses is absolutely going to score a touchdown today.
Yeah, I think, Bill, and I think that's a really good point. Like, if you want to go Jets defense for really cheap against one of the chalkiest quarterbacks on the slate that, hasn't started a game all year, I think that makes some sense. So good call there.
The one defense I'll add that wasn't mentioned, because I'm definitely with you guys, is the Bengals. The Bengals have looked really good. Justin Herbert actually has not looked as good. He's averaging like 1.5 interceptions over his last 6 or 7 games. Not quite sure what's going on with Herbert, but the guy just has not looked as good, and the Bengals defense is looking good, especially in creating turnovers. So I think the Bengals are, again, going to be very low owned because Chargers are coming into town, close game, can put up points, but Herbert's going to be throwing the ball, and we want a defense that gives us some upside, if you want to call it that, even though it's highly unpredictable. Let's get to our plays of the days, and we got to get out of here. We call them off-the-chalk plays of the days. Title, I'm going to start with you. What's your off-the-chalk call of the week?
I will say first, Hoop said Wood's not starting until 300 likes, so make sure you guys hit the like button if you want to see the boys. The SO play of the day, it's got to be my boy Justin Jefferson at 8.2K. Cooper Kupp's going to get the ownership in the top range. I'm seeing 8%. I think it'll be a little more than 8. I think people are finally realizing it, but this is one of the best receivers in football against a Lions team in a dome. No one's going to be able to stop Justin Jefferson. Madison's getting a little ownership steam as well, so you get leverage off of that. Justin Jefferson's going for 150 plus, 2 touchdowns. Sign me up for a lot of Justin Jefferson as the SO play of the day.
Yeah, you stole my play, Title, you jerk.
Thanks for sending it to me first.
Yeah, I know. JT Hayes, off the chalk play of the week.
Yeah, I'm torn because there's a couple of guys here in the mix. I'm not going to make it Cooper Kupp. I'm not going to make it Matthew Stafford and his guaranteed 30 DraftKings points or more. But I'm going to make it Terry McLaurin. It's been a while since we've seen a ceiling game from F1. And like I said, on the board, he's got the best individual matchup against Faxon, the quarterback for the Raiders. And with all the weapons healthy now, you got to worry about Antonio Gibson. You've got to worry about Logan Thomas. And you got to worry about Terry McLaurin. I think he breaks out. I think he has a big day. I'm seeing something like 9 catches, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns for F1.
I like it. I'm going right back to the LA Rams, not team, even though I'm definitely I can't steal JT Hayes' play. I would love to steal the Stafford call, but I'm very high on that now per JT Hayes. But going back to the Rams connection and Josh Reynolds, I think he's going to get in the box again today. And I think that pairing there look comfortable. So I think Goff's going to go to him early and often, and I think he has a nice day. And I'm showing, I think maybe he'll get a little bit, but I'm still showing, right around 5% or something. So very good, guys. Awesome show. Hit that like button. We got the boys coming up with the morning wood. We got Hoop, Big T, and Holden. I'm AP, Titletown, JT Hayes. Simon, get us out of here.
Mr. Whistles Go Woo is with us today.
This is a great showdown slate because if we can find a way to just get some different paths, it could be a really good slate to get to the top of the leaderboard. These quarterbacks keep coming in lower owned than I think they should be. Tons of 10% captains, 12% captains, 9% captains. And I think the game is just adjusted a little bit in these showdowns where everyone knows the receivers have the highest upside, highest chance of shipping these showdowns. It's just a matter of who you're going to play with, Taysom. I remember tons of slates where the studs like Kamara, Michael Thomas, he just wouldn't get them as involved, and some of the lesser guys he would pepper, and one of them was always Deontay Harris, who I'm sure JSU was talking about. 400 cheaper than Ingram, so you kind of get a natural pivot off that chalky Ingram. You play Taysom with them, and then you can play 3 or 4 Cowboys too. That is my favorite tournament type build tonight.
But I'll throw another bone out to you. I love the play of Taysom as captain, but put Dallas's defense also there. And I know that seems kind of crazy, and most people would think, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But can't you imagine one running touchdown, one throwing touchdown, but then a pick 6 for Dallas tonight?
What are you feeling with these receivers? Is there one that you just think is better than the rest, or do you feel they're all kind of similar?
Yeah, it's going to kind of be Gallup for me just because of price. I mean, you look at these prices. For me, you got to decide between CD or Coop, and I'm always a CD guy. Isn't there anything better, Whistles, too, than when you ship with just some random team that looks terrible? And then everyone's like, how'd Whistles ship with that team? Oh, how did he do that? Like, that's just so satisfying.
Have a good time tonight.
Woo! We'll see you guys later.
Are you stuck in the DFS cash bubble? Can't quite figure out how to take that leap toward profitable results? Most of us don't have the time needed to keep up on all the news and stats necessary to be a successful player at daily fantasy sports, or the patience to read complicated spreadsheets and charts needed to make informed decisions. That's why at Runpure Sports, we've simplified the lineup building process to help you create competitive teams. Our content team consists of some of the biggest names in the DFS industry, including BigT, Hoop 2410, JSURab, AP, Draft Cheat, Mangone, and much more. Our contributors dominate the leaderboards in both tournament and cash game formats. These players provide you their top plays on a given slate in an easy-to-use format. In our core plays tool, our experts provide you with the players they'll be targeting the most on a given slate. These core plays give you the foundation you need to create competitive lineups. Our playbook is an easy-to-read guide to each slate, which will also help you make informed decisions. Our new cash game chart features the top plays on a given slate provided by our cash game pros Hoop 2410 and Mangone. We've got a page dedicated exclusively to DFS single game content. It's headed up by Big T, one of the top Showdown and MVP players in the world. Ask our experts and fellow premium members directly for lineup advice in our Discord channel, where our members have benefited by winning some of the biggest cash prizes across the DFS landscape. In our premium videos and articles, our experts lay out their favorite plays and strategies for a given slate designed to guide you towards profitability.
Sell me on Aaron Rodgers. You don't need to sell me on Aaron Rodgers because I trust your opinion, but come on, sell me.
So I think this year he's going to come in. He's going to selfishly try and throw as many touchdowns as possible. I think he's going to be a guy who, at the end of the year, we're talking about as an MVP candidate.
Plus, check out our tiers, stack charts, slate plan, projections, and much more to help you make your lineup building decisions. So what are you waiting for? Sign up today at runpuresports.com to gain access at an affordable price. And for just a small added fee, you can also subscribe to our sports betting content on our bet site. Thanks for watching, and keep running pure. It is the morning wood, and I'm so excited that I get to hang out with Hoop and Big T. Big T, I saw a new commercial with you. You were laying on your stomach, looking like you were waiting for insertion. Hoop, how are you? What's going on, pal?
When I saw that video, it reminded me of the first time that I realized there was sensation down low in the morning. You wake up with that morning wood as a kid, and then you kind of roll over on your stomach and you start moving around. You're like, whoa, this feels kind of good. And it was like Big T's position on the commercial.
I was a Big T. Did anything come by or no?
I mean, I wasn't expecting the show to start at this point.
Oh, neither was I. Neither was I.
I guess the next episode's coming this week, so everyone gets to make fun of me again. Imagine signing up to film something knowing everyone's going to make fun of you for like 2 months.
Yeah, and then you'd be like, "Yeah, I'm in the GOAT contest, so go screw yourself."
I mean, I don't care. I like it when people make fun of me.
I enjoy them. I think they're funny.
Fun. Yeah.
It's
supposed to be longer this time, though, so hopefully this one turns out good. Give us some funny content. I think it's supposed to be 12 minutes or something instead of 6 like last time.
By the way, I said to JT Hayes in the chat before the show started, I said, you and me are on a ton of the same plays. You should be worried. Now he's like frantically hitting me up in Discord, like, who should I not be playing today? Who should I not be playing? So
how come you didn't tell me we're on the same plays? Does that mean I'm on the wrong guys?
I mean, I always play your core, so I guess I'm playing some Gardner Minshew this week, but it's uncomfortable.
You telling people my core to start the show? That's very hurtful. You got to make them at least watch the show for a minute to know who I'm playing.
I always play your core every week.
Yeah, but all the 572 watching don't know who my core is.
Yeah, but I gave you one play. You're going to talk about him.
He's the key dude, though. He's the main ingredient.
I was just kidding. This week, Big T is not playing Gardner Minshew. He's playing. He's playing all the way up to Lamar
the
Jackson.
Producer, already shit on me the first 2 seconds I saw on him. He was making fun of me. It was very hurtful to start the day.
Lamar Jackson, Big T's #1 quarterback today. Lock and load, everybody. Don't worry about Gardner Minshew.
It's funny you go with those two right out of the gate.
Yeah, right. I know your thoughts on Lamar too. If you're watching the show, the little promo thing, I want to know how much you won on Thursday night in Showdown. So members, I know you've told me before, but this is a free show, and I want the people that are not subscribers to understand what is going on here. Okay. I'll tell this story. I tried to do what Hoop did. Because Hoop, during the cash show, you said, all I did was I was going on a plane. So I decided to fill out a lineup and then I won $53K. Well, guess what? I was sitting in a parking lot this week, not going to play Showdown. I was like, screw it. I got $5. I got another like $3 ticket or something like that. $8. Hoop, I can now buy myself dinner all week. $8 into $192. I mean, cash money, homie. Now, that was just like, okay, let's just throw a couple things in. That's how good the content was. And congrats to you. Like, okay, we have the main slate here. If you are signed up to RPS already, go play the Showdown stuff. I mean, that has been the cash cow. It's amazing, Hoop. Just everybody on a run. So if you're in the chat, throw it out there. What'd you put in and what'd you get back? Because it really is amazing what happened on Thursday night. And it's been happening in Showdowns a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when we built this whole thing at Runpure Sports, like the one thing we wanted to emphasize was Showdown content and really put a lot of resources into the Showdown side of things. We really thought that was a side of the business that, there's an opportunity to make some headway in. And I mean, we were kind of spot on. I mean, the Showdown content, especially this year, has been just absolutely phenomenal, life-changing money. I mean, we've had multiple people win over 500,000 in that Millie Maker. I think this is the 3rd or 4th time this season where we've had a $500,000 win in Showdown, and the plays correlate directly to the content on our website. Going into last season, I didn't have much experience in playing Showdown. I mean, I played just for fun, usually just one lineup, cash games, not like full MME. And me and Big T started doing those shows at the beginning of the season. I mean, and honestly, it just made me like a much better player overall, just having those conversations with a guy like Tony that's had so much success in Showdown himself. And now it's turned into, I'd say, probably the strongest part of my DFS game, of these Showdown contests. And I think there's a big edge in these Showdown contests. And like last week just exemplifies things perfectly, where literally if you watched that show with, I mean, and then don't take this the wrong way if you watched the show and got dusted, but if you watched the show last week and you did not make money playing that Showdown contest, the Thursday night one, like, I don't know what to tell you, but honestly, you probably should not be doing the DFS thing. These guys laid out the framework in multiple ways too. You didn't have to be like all in. Like, so they talked about Taysom, they talked about Dallas defense, they talked about Deontay Harris. All you needed was two of those guys together and you made money. Like if you had some combination 2 out of 3. Now, if you had all 3, you absolutely printed. It was just phenomenal work all around from the guys on the show. If you went to the playbook, all the plays correlated to big wins. It was just a phenomenal showdown slate for the whole run period. And it's just so cool to see. I mean, it's not like people are making a couple $100 or 200. We had those wins, you had one of those wins, but you see like life-changing money in there, guys playing a couple $100 and turning it into like 20, 30, 40, $50,000, some 6-figure wins for people. It was just really, I mean, honestly, really, really cool to see.
Yep, it absolutely was. And this is the time when Simon says, hey, let's go through all the winners here, right? The hoops and whistles with 53K, all the other guys. I'm just going to go into our chat because we've got subscribers that put it in here. So there you go. Okay. $100 from Natisfy, 1.7K, 30 into 1,200 from Chris. These are subscribed. We're not asking. I'm not saying, hey, you have to throw it in there. They're telling you what they won this week. Junior, $35 into 3.6K. Samantha, 70 into 700. Way to go, Samantha. Peter, 16 into 150. And listen, the Showdown content is, don't sleep on it. And if you haven't tried it, listen, I was not a big Showdown guy. I didn't play much Showdown. And now it's like, I really want to play Showdown as often as I can. And last week, here we go again, or last Thursday. So it happened once again. The code to sign up, if you've not already done so, RPS Heater 25, RPS Heater 25, 25% off your first payment of a monthly subscription. So you get all our NFL content. You get the Showdown site too. And on top of that, Big T, NBA cores. We got the heat chart. We got the Up to Lock show with the final countdown. Me and you and JSU do that one in the NBA too. Tons of NBA content, and then we'll get into the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, like always, we cover it all. And, yeah, the Showdown is definitely my favorite too. It's just one of those things I think plays into what we do here. We take some stands and spots. We fade some spots, and it just works better on Showdown. So we've had a bunch of success. I mean, really the whole time. We struggled a little NFL last season, but everything else we've done good Showdown-wise, especially Hoop this year, just crushing with some big hits, tons of members, like they said, but just plays into what we do. And I don't know if it's affected my main slates because I take too many stands or something. Haven't done as good on the main slates, but Showdowns are awesome. And yeah, like you said, NBA crushing too. I still haven't fully got invested in NBA. I'm always a late season player. Like even NFL's been picking up a little bit. I don't know what it is about me. Baseball, I was better at the end of the year. Even years ago, I talked to Hoop about this, how for whatever reason, I get better at the end of years, probably because I'm a field player. So I get to see more stuff and then just get stronger takes as the season goes. But
good. All
sports, one price. It's our biggest selling point on all these shows. I mean, yesterday you had MMA. These guys almost got a shipper. I know the main event didn't go our way, but I mean, we might have still had some shippers, but we had a few guys like Title even had a chance. I'm sure Hoop had some good ones in there. Main event didn't go our way, but you got that. You got college football, college basketball, freaking everything. One price. So no reason not to sign up. And the bet side, picking winners too. So no reason not to sign up for all you get. Definitely the best deal of any of these sites out here.
And this is the week. I know I've been teasing this thing for ever, and I it made myself look like a donkey on many occasions. But this is the week where we take that next step, and we're going to have a big announcement. And I mean, as I said before, if you want to take advantage of this, you need to be a member. So there's no better time to join. And like I said, this is a game changer, I think, for our product overall, and it'll be this week.
Yep. Oh, I forgot the college stuff too. We just had a guy, Corey, say, thanks, Big T, for the Alabama stack yesterday. He was being serious, I'm sure. And then
No, he was. It was. I never whine, but I was like the most upset I've been in a while yesterday because it was the college final, obviously. And man, I had a really good take about Alabama. Put it in my core, put it in my main teams, jammed it everywhere that they were going to dominate Georgia. But like so in the college final, you could late swap. So the early game, there was 2 early games, and literally it was all chalk, like 80% owned quarterbacks, 75% owned running backs, and it just totally busted. Just everyone busted. So all the chalk people were out. So it was literally like a 10-man field to win a live final. And I knew my Bama stack was going to be like 1% owned. Like I was going to be the only one in the field with them. So I got in my head and I freaking pivoted off my Bama team in the live final. And it really hurt my feelings badly because I pivoted. So the Bama total was a 49 and the late game was a 75 or something. So I pivoted on to the safe 75 total, played both quarterbacks in the 75 total. And it started out incredible too. But man, I pivoted off that Bama team. So everyone in the chat that played my core was like celebrating and like, oh, Big T, you crushed it. Bama core. I freaking pivoted off into the live final. And then on top of it, I got to watch freaking J-Mac ship with the freaking core. Oh, it was very hurtful, Holden. It definitely hurt my feelings badly.
Paid subscribers money, and that's all that matters.
Oh.
I mean, not for you, obviously.
Subscribers definitely won from the core, but my feelings were definitely hurt from it.
Yep. And then Junior said the NBA cores helped him ship last night. And one more shout out, and he's probably not watching because he hates the NFL, but Stevie Boynton, dude, 2 straight weekends in college basketball shippers. That's the thing. I know we're blowing I'm blowing all our guys. Oh, God, that sounded bad this morning, but Simon's going to make a clip of that. That is going to go viral this way, that way, every way. But seriously, and the last 2 weekends, we've had the big shippers from college basketball too. So it's
Stevie
going up
crushes college basketball. I make fun of him because the contests are low, but it shows the value of the product. Like, yeah, the contests aren't huge, but if you're making money, that's all and having fun, that's all that matters.
Yeah, the best part about that stuff, I mean, I don't dabble in the college sports all that much, but those are things where you don't need to really know anything about the sport. I mean, you just follow the content and plug these plays in. I mean, if I went to college basketball playbook or core plays, I'd have no clue. I mean, I don't watch college sports, so I have no clue who any of these guys are. You can literally just plug the stuff in and print.
You're right. All right. So good. I think we got all the stuff out of the way, unless you want to hear about my latest excursion to a child's event, but we can get into that later, I'm sure. Hoops sound. Look at Hoops' face right now. He's just like, please don't.
I mean, I don't mind, but you know, Tony's going to be.
I can't wait for Tony to shit on it. I'm sure you go.
I'm sure. I mean, I can probably sum it up. You're probably, spend Friday and Saturday nights traveling around to different neighborhoods looking at Christmas lights, right?
No, I will not do that. My daughter asked me yesterday, why do you hate Christmas? And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, Mommy said you hate Christmas.
Oh, geez.
So we won't go down that road. I went to a circus yesterday, guys.
Oh, God.
It was a wonderful
time. That might be worse than
time.
Christmas lights.
It was Cirque du Soleil. They do crazy stuff, hot chicks spinning around from the ceiling. It's good stuff, Tony. You'd enjoy it. You know what? You and me.
I might enjoy it on like a Wednesday at 2 p.m., not on a Saturday with all those sports going.
No, it's a fine point. I got to pick one family day, though. Okay, we're at 355. We need to be at 400 right now. Are you shitting me, guys? We just threw out all the winning stuff. RPS Heater 25% off your first payment of a monthly installment. And we're sitting here at 357. All right, we're going to get into the picks now, but I'll tell you this much. By the time this first game is over, if we're not at 400, I don't have anything to threaten you with. It would just be very, very disappointing. So let's start with Big T's favorite quarterback in the world. His name is Carson Wentz. We got Indianapolis at Houston. I was actually looking a little Tyrod Taylor today. I know you're going to make fun of me for that. That's fine. Wentz, Taylor, Jonathan Taylor, the big Taylor. Just in the perfect spot for the best fantasy running back this year. Hoop got me on Pittman a little bit more today. So let's hear it, Big T. What do we got for this Indy-Houston game?
Yeah, I mean, the theme of the week is definitely going to be how good running back is. You got, 10 running backs that are very elite plays where you got to decide which ones you want to use. And we got a lot of these games where it's a really good team mostly on the road versus a really bad team. So we got to decide what to do with that too. But that's the theme of the week to me. A bunch of really good teams versus bad teams. Most of them have a good running back in that spot. You can't play them all like always. We say this every week. You're going to fade some good plays today, without a doubt. You can't just play every single one of them.
Nope.
So this is the first game. I mean, you got Indy. My favorite part of Indy is they got two guys I want to play, and I don't really want to play anything else. Obviously, you can put Wentz in that too if you wanted to. Not today for me, but Jonathan Taylor, top running back play, at least raw points on the board. And Pittman, I mean, he's just too cheap. He got a bunch of targets again last week. Didn't do much with them, but got 10 targets this week. I like him. I mean, he's 5,700 on DraftKings. That's just too cheap for Pittman. I do think you can play Taylor and Pittman together and get the entire offense. I wouldn't even mind if you played Wentz, Taylor, and Pittman in like a cash game format where you just soak in the whole offense with that, and they're going to score, I don't know, 34 points in the low 30s, somewhere in there probably. So, yeah, this game's easy for me. I'm not going to play Wentz because you guys know that have watched me for this long. I want to run back, and I don't want to run back any Houston guys. So I'm going to stick just with Taylor and Pittman in this spot.
Taylor and Pittman. All right, Mr. Hoop, what are you doing with Taylor today? The big Taylor.
No, he's going to be lower owned than he should be on the slate. That's the first thing that stands out. I mean, he's the top running back in terms of raw points, and we've seen the ceiling on this guy, and it's absolutely massive. And this is kind of like a ceiling spot. So in tournaments, getting overweight on Jonathan Taylor is something that I think you should be looking to do. We know what everyone's going to do at running back. Tony alluded to it. There's like 10 really, really good running back plays. Well, when there's 10 really, really good plays, people tend to go to the cheaper options, not the top good options. And Jonathan Taylor is the top good option with like, I don't know, 7 guys that are like way, way too cheap for their role today. That's where everyone's going to go. Leaving Jonathan Taylor much lower owned than he should be. Phenomenal play, guy you need to get overweight on in tournaments. And, we're going to start out agreeing here. I mean, it's only Taylor and Pittman for me. Those are only 2 guys that I really want in this entire game. I mean, I'm not messing around with the Texans. We have some really good spots today. I'm not playing the Texans team. They have injuries. Cooks was questionable coming in. It could be a disaster for them. So Taylor, Pittman, and just going to leave it at that.
I think me and Hoop agree on stuff more than people think we do. At least these days, we don't disagree. We'll disagree on a few spots, like the 5'8" white receivers. We disagree on them, but we agree on a lot more than people think we agree on.
A couple other things here. First of all, the weather. A lot of people were concerned earlier in the week about the weather. I'm only seeing one place, which is gross, and that's Chicago with the Cardinals and the Bears. For the most part, just because of the wind. I'm not worried about the precip, but we should have 15 to 20 mile an hour winds there with some gusts. So that's the one game that I'm worried about. I don't know if you guys are too concerned about it, but that would be it for me. And then tonight's game shouldn't be too bad. And then the other thing is, Tony, we got the Tournament of Champions for our members. Will you talk about this? Needs to be filled every week. It's free money for our members.
Just 1 week, I want to see this thing fill somehow, because we've talked about it for 2 years now. We've run this. We've only been around for a year and a half now. We've ran it last NFL. We've run it this year. It only holds 1,000 people. We got double that or more on the site. It's a free tournament for, I don't know what the total price, $1,500 or something, counting the seats. $1,500 free dollars, and we have 431 out of 1,000 right now. So there's over 500 empty spots. I know. I mean, it's not like life-changing money like we were talking about earlier with the screenshots, but 1,500, if you win first place, you win a 333 Wildcat ticket to DraftKings, which if you're a lower stakes player, that's huge to get a chance to play that. Plus, I think $500, right? Hoop, 500 cash from us. So you get a 333 ticket and 500 cash just for entering. I don't even care if you watch NFL. Say you signed up for the site for Stevie Boyton's college basketball. Put an NFL team in. It's free. There's no anything to it. Just get in there. We want to see this thing fill. We should do it 1 week. If somehow we fill it like we triple the prizes or something, just for fun, just to see if we can fill it. Because it probably won't still. People just don't see it. Maybe we'll do that next week. Me and Hoop and AP and these guys, we'll get together and see if we can do something fun just to try to fill it one freaking week to give away more free money. Because we do like to give away stuff. JSU just gave away a 555 ticket on one of the shows this week. We love to give back.
Hold on a second. Are you saying non-members could be in that?
No, well, we would fill it if that was the case. Like if I sent a tweet out, that thing would fill immediately, but it's got to be members. We're only giving away this stuff to the members.
I was going to say 700 likes and we should do that, but that's fine.
Well, I mean, we would fill it if we sent it out, it would be too easy.
It would be filled too easy.
Because believe it or not, these people watching the show would definitely get in there if they're not a member, guaranteed. Which they should. Why wouldn't you get in, Holden?
There's no reason not to. Well,
it could be literally anything. It could be like Australian football. I don't know anything about that. If it was free for even me for $1,500, I'll get in there. I get in the TOC every week. I'm in there right now trying to get my free Millie ticket.
You're going to take from us. Okay, whatever, man.
If I somehow get first, I'll give the Wildcat ticket to somebody. I get in there, though.
Hoop, what is the what is, I don't even know what the hell I'm trying to say. What's the number for the likes today? Will you set it, please? Then we'll get to our second game.
We need like 6 bills, 6 spins, as Big T likes to say. We need 6 spins.
Okay.
Yeah, that's easy.
6.
And we're out. I mean, we're not messing around today. Mango, I got to give Mango credit. We were on the NBA show, I believe it was earlier in the week. We threw out a number. We didn't get there. It's like, all right, have a good day. We'll see you guys later.
Mango definitely holds to that. He's a stickler for
he's
sure.
An enforcer. Like, I talk this big game. I'm the biggest pussy we have. Like, I'll come on, guys, you can do it. Come on. Mango says, all right, Simon, get us out of here.
I never threaten our people anymore.
So, Ryan, hold on. We got to talk about this. So, Ryan S. in the chat. Big T says he loves to give back until the time comes to do it. Ryan S., I've given away as many tickets as anyone. I've given away.
Worst take of all. That's like the worst take of all
Let
time.
me get to it, though, Hoop. This is why, though. Because this donkey was riding you guys in the show. I said the one day I said I'd hook him up. This dude sent me like 47 messages before I had a chance to. So I put him on hold a little bit.
That's one way to not get a response from Big T.
Exactly. I put him on hold a little bit. He's got to, I mean, that's not true, right? Ryan S., I can promise you there's not another person in that chat that will say that happened to them. Every other person I've said has got it. You're the only person, and that's how I remember you. Because you slid.
I'll tell you what, when you deal with Big T, the more messages you send, every additional message you send, the chances of Big T responding go down significantly. So, like,
I don't like to be nagged. I mean, if you send one message,
even for me personally, you send Big T a text. If it's one concise, like, "Hey, blah blah blah," he'll respond. But if it goes blah blah blah, and then another one, even for me personally, I mean, his respond rate is already like industry low. Like, he doesn't respond.
Industry low.
Yeah. But like I said, the more you send, the less likely it is to get a response from a personal level, business level, and customer level.
Amber's the same way. If she sends long ones, she doesn't get responses. It's just how I am. I can't help it. It's how I am.
You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't send long texts or anything. You know, that's it.
I agree.
Didn't I, K. Reed? We just said, well, all for triple prizes in the TOC for no reason. We're already giving away 1,500. Like, we're the most. Whatever. I don't need to keep that. People know the truth of the matter.
Yeah. 600 is the number. Shannon Sarver waiting on Holden's pick because it's been on fire. Well, again, we're going to need 601.
Gill said he gave me 777 because I told him my wife is 777. I remember that, dude.
That was a long time ago. That was like
that was a winning ticket. Yeah, that was a
good one
early in the season. Yeah, that was a good one. I liked it. All right, guys, let's go. Like button. We're getting to 600. Let's make Hoop happy today. That'll make everybody happy. And our next game, Hoop, let's go to you first. Giants.
I don't know. Go ahead. Yeah.
What? Sorry. No. You don't know what?
No.
Okay.
Giants. I'll pick the right spot for that comment.
Right. Anything from the Giants and the Dolphins today? I'll just say this: my boy Waddle, not as high on him now because Devontae Parker's back. I think there are a couple of spots that you could pick today. I think the Miami defense is going to be popular too. Thoughts on Miami and the Giants?
I mean, total under 40. I mean, I guess it's right there, 39.5. Two teams that just aren't all that appealing. Low team totals for both. Waddle has been playing phenomenally well, but Parker back adds some confusion to that situation. I see Parker popping in some spots. I'm not going to play Devontae Parker today. I don't think you really need to. We have a lot of cheap guys at like every other position. I just don't, to me, wide receiver is like a spend up spot for the most part. I just don't want to be on this game. Dolphins defense is totally fine. I think. I mean, this Giants team is just a disaster. I mean, just all around disaster. So Giants defense, it's going to be it for me.
Okay. What about you, Big T? Anything from this game today?
Once I go down the chat well, I start loving it. Dude said, where can I get a 333-pound lady for my ticket?
Come on. Give me a ring.
So good.
Give me a ring. I'll find you one, buddy. Or go to like Chicago. I'll tell you, man.
Go to Chicago. Where's Chuck say? Oklahoma? What was Chuck said? There's more big women in Oklahoma than anywhere else.
Yeah, you know, Chicago. People sleep on Chicago too. For a big city, probably the largest women per capita in Chicago. Anyways, there's nothing wrong with that. I like that. Big T.
I've never gone over like $130, Holden. I stay under that range. Yeah.
Those poor
Big T
girls.
likes the little spinners.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't blame you. I was looking at gymnasts yesterday. I was like, oh my God, where do I get one of these next time? But I couldn't.
Yeah.
So
my daughter does gymnastics. I gotta mute you.
Why? Hold on a second. You've never seen these girls that do gymnastics?
I mean,
yeah, I do.
What do you want? Women that are just like stiff that just do this hoop that are just what are we talking about here?
I don't know. When I think of
what's going on with hoop, Big T? He's very reserved today. It's like
I say when I think of gymnastics, I think of little girls because
I think of little girls too.
No, like oh, you guys are disgusting.
Where do you watch grown women do gymnastics?
I just saw them yesterday in the Cirque du Soleil.
Circus. You got the professionals.
They're like 5'3", maybe 105 pounds.
They're too like mobile though.
Oh no,
they're too like beefy. I mean, so they're just all it's like muscles. I don't want a girl that can kick my ass. And stuff, you know?
I agree.
I mean, actually, Holden probably likes that though.
You know,
I guarantee
actually,
Holden
you're right. First of all, second of all, be there. That's right, Brandon McNair. All my exes are gymnasts. That's the way to do it, broski. That is the way to do it.
Like gymnasts, so like as you're an adult, like who's a gymnast? And when you get older, like there's no adult gymnast.
Well, no, a former gymnast counts too.
Outside of Olympians.
Yeah, she doesn't have to be doing it now.
15 total adult gymnasts.
Even the Olympians are like 15 though. So
isn't JSU's wife a gymnast or no?
No, she's not a gymnast.
She's really, I thought she was a gymnast. No,
she like works out and does like CrossFit. That's different than being a gymnast. Anyways, the Giants and Dolphins. I agree with Hoop. I mean, I don't see anything here. This slate is one of the most cut and dry I've seen all season. So hopefully that's a good sign. The guys I think are easy plays. I'm really just fading a lot of other stuff. So, I mean, this is one. Dolphins defense, definitely in play. Well, probably the most popular D, actually. I mean, just looking at it, they got to be the most popular D, which I don't usually like to play the most popular D, but against the Giants, and Miami looks like a decent football team the last month. So the Dolphins D has to be in play.
We just got 80 messages that say San Antonio is the place to go.
Oh, well, maybe it was San Antonio, Chuck said. He might have been San Antonio.
For the big ladies?
Yeah.
Is it like all the like Mexican food, like the cheese, sour cream?
That'll do it.
You know, all that. Yeah.
The barbecue.
I mean, but let's be real. I mean, we're in the United States of America. You can find big ladies just about anywhere nowadays.
I know there's a lot where I live. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, same
well,
here.
You're in Kentucky, so yes.
There's definitely a lot of big women who are in my area. I'll tell you that.
Yes.
All right, maybe I'll hit you up the next time you have that party in March. You know,
definitely
can we get Holden there, please? Can we please get Holden there? That would be a life changer.
Oh, he's coming this time.
Here's the problem, guys. The problem is you're doing March Madness.
Here we go. He's already getting excuses.
I went to Kansas. I can't watch. I went to Kansas. We're playing during March Madness. I can't miss any of that. I can't miss games. I went to Kansas. I'm not going to watch KU games with all these guys there.
You think I watched a second of college basketball at Big T's house?
He wants to watch it. That's what he's saying.
Oh, we'll put you in the basement. Big T's got like 35 Big TVs.
All right.
That's
have your
literally
own
where
TV.
this event
That's-
started, was rooting on the games. We still root. Hoop doesn't, but other people
Yeah.
root.
Okay.
The
And there's
Pets
a
taking
hotel
down
around you,
Uncle
right?
T.
There's hotels in Kentucky.
God,
Oh god, you can stay with Uncle T. We'll get you set up at Uncle T.
yeah, now we're
That's gonna be
talking.
awesome because I know it's gonna be
Yes.
quiet. It's gonna be clean. There's
True.
mustache stuff there. It's gonna be awesome. All right, next game. We'll keep rolling with this. Here's one that has a little bit of juice to it. Minnesota and Detroit, Big T. I like a little Kirk Cousins this week with a little Justin Jefferson. Jamal Williams going to be popular. Alexander Madison should be really popular. I got him as my number 3 guy this week, boys. Thielen, Jefferson. I don't know what you want to do with the Detroit run back side. If you need to, maybe some Josh Reynolds. Tony, you got any likes in these games?
Yeah,
This game?
it's just more of the same. It's gonna be redundant, but you got a good team. I think Minnesota's a pretty good team on the road versus a terrible team. We got a running back. I'm not gonna play Cousins because I don't really want to run it back. If I did, though, it would be Reynolds. The issue I have with Cousins is I don't want to play Jefferson and Thielen together. They're just too expensive, I think, to really pay off unless Detroit keeps the pace. So. Like, it's a perfect example. I would never run this stack without a run back. Just they're too expensive. Like, you need too much scoring to get there. But I love Madison. I love Jefferson. I'm just not going to play Cousins with it. I think Madison might end up being lower owned than people think.
Really?
Just because there's so many good balls, definitely on FanDuel where he's like really expensive. DK, he's pretty. I have a feeling. I'm usually decent with these guys like this. I have a feeling he might be the one that sneaks through the cracks a little bit with some of the ownership. I just don't think people trust him as much with all these good plays. Everyone's making fun of him. I love him.
Who's making fun of him?
I mean, I'm not going to name names, but I saw some people making fun of him a little bit.
Fuck that. Alexander Madison's my play of the week. So
now you're getting me excited because, well, you already gave one of my core away. Madison is also in the core. I love Madison. He treats us right. He treated us right earlier in the year when he got the little start and people weren't just jamming him. I think he's going to end up low owned. I really like him on FanDuel too, where he's really expensive. Sign me up. Now you just got me more excited because if he's your play of the week, I like him even more.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to give him because I thought he was going to be too popular. But if you're saying he's not going to be 20%.
I wouldn't worry about ownership at running back, really. I mean, the only guy I think that has a chance to be outrageous is Gibson. Besides him, I don't think the ownership's going to be that crazy on anyone else.
This is one area where your boy can help the tournament guys, because I think I have a pretty good read on the ownership stuff. The Jonathan Taylor thing, I mean, most slates, Jonathan Taylor should be, 30-40% owned in this situation.
Especially versus Houston.
Yeah. Now, Taylor will be more owned than Madison. Madison's going to be virtually unowned this week.
Okay.
Not
Beautiful.
Not unknown. Let me take that back.
Yeah.
I always use this term, but I think you can always apply it. He's going to be way lower owned than you'd assume he'd be in a spot against the Lions as a touchdown favorite.
On FanDuel, he's got to be almost unowned. Like low
Correct.
owned. Yeah.
All right,
Which
guys,
doesn't make sense to me either. Like, what if it was Cook?
I think maybe, dude, running back's so cheap,
I
or
like
so
Madison
loaded
more.
with these cheap plays this week, and it's just so obvious what people do. If they can get through a position as cheap as possible with really good plays, they're just going to plug those guys and move in. Elijah Mitchell, now Sony Michel, Jamal Williams.
God. Sign me up for a week, by the way, where I can play Madison and JT lower owned and people play Sony Michel. Sign me up for that week. I might actually win on a main slate this week.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
We'll get to
Sony Michel's going to score like 4 touchdowns and JT's going to get none.
Don't get ahead of yourself. Let's get to 5 bills here before we get to the 4:00 slate. We've only gotten to 2 games. We got the final countdown coming up in about an hour with JSU. JJ from the bet side is going to be there, and I will run the show. All of our subscribers get access to it. We'll answer your questions leading right up to lock. So that's a very, very, very
Lock yourself up too. Holden's giving winners every single week.
I am.
2-3 winners. 2 of the last week. Who was the 2 last week?
2 of them. It was Waddle and Mitchell.
Yeah, 2, literally like the 2 slate breaking plays. Holden hates when you talk him up. Dude, look at you. You're blushing. You've had great football takes, Holden. I give you respect.
Yeah. It's there's two sports that I spend more time on than anything else.
Old guys
Football.
on the pod said you don't like baseball. They
That's
said
it.
you're a football.
And obviously, I don't like baseball. I just spend a shitload of time on it. What are you going to do? There's nothing I can do about it, Uncle T. But you know what? He got back in my good graces. I could sleep in his basement. I know none of his beds have been used for the workbench anyways, so it'll be nice and dry and clean. That's what I'm worried about. Like, I would never sleep in your guys' bed. Okay. I would never take a shower in Uncle T shower or Big T shower. I would never sleep in Hoop's bed. That's two places I want nothing to do with. Nothing.
I will say Big T has been to the Hoop residence. And if you're worried about like germs or anything like that, like this is your spot because Mrs. Hoop runs the tightest ship in terms of cleanliness. I will say probably any house anywhere. So if you want a clean spot, this is where you should come.
Okay.
Bedrooms.
Let's just move. I got so much to say about it. Let's just move on. Let's get the 5 bills and the likes. Let's move it, guys. Come on. And ladies. Did you chime in on this yet, Hoop? Minnesota, Detroit.
No, but yeah, the Madison thing, he'll be lower owned. Justin Jefferson, absolute stud. A guy that if you're MMEing should be in your player pool every single week. I will say the one guy that does kind of concern me a little bit that I know is going to be very popular today is Jamal Williams. It just seems like a spot where they're going to have somebody else out there more than people think. I don't know who it is. I mean, I look at these names. I've never heard of these guys behind them, but I just feel like they're going to use more than just Jamal Williams today.
Is Hoop and I going to be aligned in everything? He's the guy I hate of all the chalk guys.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of paths for failure when other people don't.
All these other guys are in like winning scripts where they're playing for the lead. Like this, I mean, you got the dusty ass Lions. I don't know. I feel least comfortable with Jamal Williams out of all these cheap running backs this week.
Wow.
And it's nice because he's going to be very highly owned.
He has a ton of paths for failure.
Yeah.
I think
like when you got guys like JT, granted, I know they're not the same price, but you got guys like JT Madison, these guys, the only way they don't get there is injury and just literally getting super unlucky with touchdowns where they just somehow don't score.
Basically, he has to score, I think.
Jamal just there's a
at
lot of
position with these. I mean, he could score and get dusted at the position. Like that's how good running back is. He could come in.
He has
15's not getting it done today.
No.
The Vikings
in tournaments, I'd be fading this guy. The first cheap running back off the board for me would be Jamal. And cash game's a little bit different. Okay. I mean, he's probably going to have this workload. I'm lower on him than other people are. I know. I believe.
This is where you can get an edge even in cash, though. I never give cash advice ever, but there's so many good running back plays. Like if you don't like him, can't you get an edge by just not playing him when everyone's going to play him in cash? Or do you still play him?
I have gotten better about just taking stands on these things I feel strongly about. So I'm trying to find ways.
How does he kill you, though? Like, even say he does do good and gets 20, you can still get those from your dudes.
Exactly, especially this week. So, yeah, I'm probably going to find a way to take a stand. And I started messing around with my lineup. And the way I do that is by playing a quarterback that Big T happens to love. We might as well.
Let's be aligned today. Let's win, and then we got a whatever it's called tomorrow night too that we're gonna ship. We're aligned. Let's go.
Let's make it happen. Make it happen.
All right. So while you guys were doing that, and I just checked out on the Jamal Williams talk because I couldn't handle it anymore.
Don't circle back and say you like love him or something. You can't ruin the mojo.
He has a great matchup. He has an amazing matchup, but he's not nearly where I am on.
But how amazing is it, though? I mean, they're 7-point underdogs at home, and their team's projected to score like slightly over 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, because he's an all-purpose guy too. They'll use him, but I'm with you. I mean, he's not. Yeah, he's not there.
Don't ruin the mojo, Holden. Don't be giving good vibes.
He's a good cash play. He's a good cash play. He's cheap and he has a floor. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely cash playable. I mean, the cash chart. The cash chart likes him. I mean, titles on the cash chart. The cash chart likes him. So I mean, this is like just my opinion. Big T's, but I get why people like him. I just think there's way more concerns with him versus the 8 other running backs that are really good plays this week.
The Chicago weather's a shit show. We've got multiple beat reporters coming out and just saying it's just awful. It's
windy. Where?
It's Chicago. So we'll have and I actually don't mind the Bears defense for a cheapie today, but that's going to be a gross game. I'm going to give you a bet right now. Big T, I want to ask you about it. 65.5 rushing yards for James Conner in a game where Murray's coming off the injury report, where it's going to be gross weather. Why do we not bet that? I'm thinking about betting it right now. I'm looking at it right in the face.
Are you talking about the over or the under?
Damn over, dude. Come on.
Yeah, I don't like Conner.
Ooh, all right, good. I'm glad because we can get to that game. Arizona, Chicago, guys, and bad weather, really bad weather. We're going to have Kyler Murray coming back, going up against Andy Dalton. We got James Conner and Montgomery as the running backs. I love Mooney. This weather's taking me off of him. Ertz, I guess Komet. I like the defenses. Hoop, why don't you start us off on this one, since I already know Tony doesn't like Conner. Are you in the same boat as Tony today?
Well, we've been aligned most of the show, and we're going to kind of be there again. I mean, I think he's a fine play, but I have like 7 guys I think that I prefer like over him. Kyler Murray back scares me a little bit at the goal line with the goal line stuff. I mean, he's gotten it done all season, even with Kyler in there. So I don't think it's a huge concern, but it's a slight knock. And with running back so loaded, these slight little concerns have to be applied on a bigger scale because so many guys are in really good positions. You're going to have big scores at your running back position if you want to win today. So I think there's enough for me to not be on him like a ton. And this game just is not all that appealing. I'll be mostly off this game. Like Mooney, I liked a little bit, but this weather here and like a bunch of other mid-tier wide receivers that are good spots, probably enough to keep me off of a guy like him. So not really a game for me.
No, nothing on this game. How about you, Tony?
Yeah, I'm with Oop. And I mean, Conner and Montgomery are good plays, similar to how I think Jamal Williams is a good play. But the running back position is just loaded this week. I'm going to make my life easy. We've talked about it a lot on these shows. Why are we overcomplicating things and like trying to find stuff in spots we don't really need to go to? Like the Bears have struggled a lot at times. They have a 17 team total, bad weather. Arizona is starting to get a little healthier. I don't know. Like, I just don't need to go here over some of these other guys. If it was a different week, I would definitely like Conner and Montgomery, really. I mean, they're both in that price. They're both going to get volume. I just don't see it today. And I'm just going to make it easy and play those top guys that I like more.
All right. Very good. Let's RPS Heater 25% off your first payment of a monthly plan. Again, Showdown content, killing it. Thursday night, we all basically won money in some way, shape, or form. And Hoop said it right. You know, if you didn't win, there's something going on with you. I mean, that was
if you didn't win, you just had to like just play your own dudes, which is fine. I mean, you're allowed to do that, but that you didn't lose because of advice that was given out on our site. I'll say that much.
If you lost, you watched that show and you said, you know what? Fuck these guys. I'm going the complete opposite direction of what they just said. That's the only way you lost watching that show.
You jammed Zeke in. You faded Taysom.
God, I mean, on a side note, I don't know, we've been down a ton of rabbit holes, but how dumb of a team are the Cowboys? Like, how dumb can you – seriously, how dumb can you be sitting there watching Zeke versus Pollard
crazy
and continue to give Zeke the workload? Like, long term, it's gonna hurt him because, I mean, Pollard
he's even, like, injured on top of it.
He's injured, too. Like, and Pollard is – if Pollard gets a full workload, he's a top 5 running back in the NFL. Like
he might be the best one. He might literally be the best running back.
He is so freaking good. And you have an injured, shitty running back getting more work. It's just these coaches are just, oh my gosh, half of them are complete morons.
The only answer is pictures. He's got to have pictures.
It makes literally no sense. No freaking sense.
None whatsoever. I'm with you. Also, like button. A little disappointing. Actually, we still got some time to get to the 4. We got 1, 2, 3 games to get to the 500 mark. I want to be at 550 though by the time we get to the 4 o'clock game. So show some love here. We've been doing this for free all season long. We got an extra week of the season this year too, so we'll be going right through week 18. And then, of course, we'll have our playoff content for the NFL too. RPS Heater 25% off your first payment of a monthly installment. Let's go, Tony. Philadelphia and the Jets. I'm not going to say anything more.
So Jalen Hurts got rolled. I think has he officially been rolled out?
No,
He's not
but we're
play.
expecting him to be out.
That would be a twist if he somehow came back and played. But
yeah,
he's going to sit, and we got Gardner Minshew at 4K. I mean, so first of all, let me lead into it. The whole year we've said the Jets, if you look at the flow chart, the Jets are just literally horrendous on defense, worse against running back, but bad against everything. And now you're going to give me a quarterback that's 4K. I mean, that price is just outrageous. I mean, we've seen quarterbacks 8K. You're getting him for 4K, and a guy that has proven to be able to throw the ball a little bit in this league. I'm not saying he's freaking Joe Montana, but he's at least proven he can throw at times in this league. Now he gets the Jets, and he's 4K, and he's got some weapons you can use on top of it. I just think it's an easy play, and even more so in like cash games with all these running backs. I think you just take I mean, even at worst case, he gets like, I don't know, 12. Like that's even fine. Like, I don't know. I think it's a very easy play. And I like some other plays in here too. And my sneaky guy of the week. So I talk a lot about these flow charts at this time of year. And it's one of the reasons I think I'm better as the year goes. You can kind of see who's good versus what. The worst team, and this is a super sneaky play to go with the 4K quarterback, but everyone's going to play the Raiders tight end for 2,700. I like Ryan Griffin for 2,600. Philadelphia is the worst team in football against tight end. They get shredded by tight end. So you got a perfect run back at a weak position, and it's leverage off of the chalkiest tight end on the board. Sign me up, and it's going to be a good – I'm marking my words, Hoop. We are winning this main slate today because everything's aligned perfectly. I mean, what more could you want? A perfect pivot off the chalk, and it's a run back off the 4K quarterback, and the flow chart says it's the best matchup. Everything is aligned in this spot. I do love Devontae Smith, too, for a little blow-up spot here with a guy that can actually throw him the ball. He hasn't had anyone that's been able to throw it to him. So I'm in on this game. I do like these Goddard. I like a little. Quez Watkins in tournaments. I mean, even Rager, like in a millie maker, you can put with Minshew. But I'm in on this. Give me a 4K quarterback. Sign me up.
Okay. Anybody else from this game you like? Is there a run back or anything we want to tell the non-subscribers that we like from this game?
I just named off like 12 dudes in this game.
Okay. All right. Tyler's just going at me. Oh God, settle down, Tyler. Jesus. Then don't bet it. That's it.
What's he upset about?
Oh, James Conner's only gotten to 66 rushing yards too. Just drop it, bro. I'm done with it. And then, yeah, it's not looking good on Darrell Henderson. I know there's some talk in there. Like he's not officially out, is he? But I don't think he's expected to play. So it's not sounding like he is going to play. So that was just some of the chart. That was some of the chat in the chat. And if he's not officially out, he's out. Like I'm not even bothered playing him. That's it.
Yeah.
So we can get to that.
Even
game.
if somehow he's active, like you're not
messing with him. Yeah. No, he's not the play there. And we can get to the other guy there in a little bit. But like button and Hoop, it's your turn. Let's go, Philly and the Jets.
Gosh, we had all the momentum building to a nice climax, and then Big T says Ryan Griffin. Oh, gosh. Oh, just so painful.
He's my favorite play of the slate too, so it makes it even funnier.
The best
as far as everything considered, like I don't like him in a if I'm not playing Minshew, I'm not going to put him in there. But in a Minshew team, he's my favorite play on the slate for sure.
Man.
Okay. He's such good leverage off Moreau Foster.
But if you're playing Minshew, like why are we going cheap?
Because I can play 3 stud running backs. What do you mean?
I got you. All right. I see where you're going with this. But man, the best part about this is you're gonna laugh even harder. Is I played Ryan Griffin in cash last week on DK.
Philadelphia, Hoop, the flow chart. Philadelphia is at the mountaintop of tight end coverage.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to crush. Mark my words, he's going to crush.
All right. I'm not going to say much about that one. In terms of Minshew, we always talk about this with like the betting lines and stuff. Hurts gets essentially ruled out, and the line doesn't move. Like it was like a half a point shift. That's very telling. Like that's
Weird.
very, very telling for this Eagles offense. Like Vegas thinks that the Eagles are going to be able to move the ball with Minshew. Vegas doesn't think that Hurts is better than Minshew, and I agree. And what you're taking away, Hurts is a rushing quarterback. So now you're going to take away some of those rushing opportunities, and the ball's going to be in Minshew's hands a little bit more. They're dinged up at the running back position. It makes sense. I think Minshew is a great play this week. And it's not like it's some random scrub that we haven't seen play in the NFL. This is a guy that has started for teams in the NFL and has been very productive. They're projected to score 25 points, and that is the same as the Cardinals. The Cardinals and the Eagles are projected to score the exact same number of points. You get rushing upside as well. I love the Minshew call. I mean,
the craziest part, just not to interrupt, you can go right back in, but I think he could be the leading scorer on the slate as far as quarterbacks at 4K.
Quarterbacks week. I mean, everyone's going to play like Tom Brady, and that's fine. I mean, the Bucs will score a lot of points today, and they went rush heavy last week. They probably reversed back to pass heavy, but with a guy like Tom Brady, what is it going to take for Tom Brady to really crush the quarterback position? He's going to have to score 300. He's going to have to get 300 yards. Probably going to have to throw like 4 touchdowns. The path for Tom Brady to dust you is a lot lower than some of these other like running upside quarterbacks. So
if Minshew gets in the 20s, Brady can't physically dust you.
Correct.
I don't think.
Yep. No, that's why I really agree. And like quarterback, it's a wide open position this week. There's, I think, 10 different guys that could be the top scorer at the position, which is to me different than most weeks. Josh Allen's not on the slate. Patrick Mahomes is not on this slate. Those are the guys that dust you at quarterback. Got Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, who just threw 4 interceptions last week. I think you can take chances at quarterback in all formats. Honestly, in all formats, I think you can take chances at the quarterback position. And Minshew is one of those guys that I want to take a chance with. Goddard, I think, is fine. The crazy part is I really like Minshew, but I don't love like his pass catchers all that much. I mean, I think Goddard's fine. And these Eagles wide receivers just kill me. But it'd probably be Minshew to Goddard would be my favorite.
It's going to look a lot better without freaking knuckleballs flying at him every pass.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Hurts is to me like a bottom 10 quarterback in the league.
As far as throwing, he's got to be like near the top of the list.
Yeah, he's really bad. So, I mean, it's telling. I mean, to look at the bank. I mean, it was at a half a point shift, right? I think the Eagles were favored by like 5.5. Now they're favored by 5.
Oop, that's worse than Glennon from Daniel Jones. That was a 1 point shift.
That's another thing. Like, I mean, it's funny because people in organizations probably don't even realize that. They're probably not even looking at that stuff. But that's very, to me, I mean, it should be very telling stuff when you see a Aaron Rodgers get ruled out and it moves 7 points. You see it if Tom Brady were to get ruled out, it'd probably move like 6 points. Like when your starting quarterback gets ruled out and the line doesn't move, that should tell you something about your organization.
Yep, I think that's 100% right. And then the other thing, I just found the NBC reporter in Philly. He is saying Boston Scott's going to play today, so that kind of sucks because I liked Miles Sanders if he was out. And then Hurts has not been officially ruled out, but again, I think everybody's just waiting for him to be officially ruled out. We might be on still. We probably will be. I've been getting us off a course enough to where we'll be on once the inactives come out, and then we'll really discuss them on the Up to Lock show. JSU will be there. JJ from the bet side. We'll do it. We'll get you right up to lock. All the inactives, all the news, all your questions. RPS Heater 25% off your first payment if you want to get in on that. We're at 516 likes, so we're ahead of schedule. We do want that 600 today, though. We do want that 600, and we still got 2 1:00 games to get to. Hoop, Chargers. And
this dude in the chat just said Big T loves the chalk today. I literally just said my favorite play of the slate is a dude that's under 1%. So take a seat, Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. You love chalk today. If chalk is under 1%.
My favorite play of the slate, I just said, is under 1%. He says, I love all the chalk.
Yeah, he's probably just listening to your Minshew take. Is Minshew going to have ownership?
Like, of course he's going to have ownership, but quarterbacks are never outrageous.
We don't care.
I mean, even if he's 20%, I don't care. Like, he's 4K. He would have to be
And
literally
the
like
news-
in the 30s for me to care.
And the news broke like essentially yesterday, so less time for people to react. I mean, you don't need to be worried. I don't think you need to be worried about it.
No.
Hoop, this Chargers Cincinnati game, I find it very, very interesting. Obviously, Joe Mixon is in a spot where he could take down the slate. There's a few of those guys today. Joe Mixon is one of those guys. I'm seeing a lot of love for Jamar Chase. I think Keenan Allen, usually the cash guy, Keenan Allen could have a monster day. There's a lot of different ways to go in this game, and I just wonder what decision you are making here on some of these plays. But man, Mixon, like, he's going up against the worst team against the run, and then I really loved him because now Linval Joseph is out, and we saw they're bad with him. Did you see what happened last week to them? I mean, they got steamrolled. So there's a lot of great running back plays. Where's Mixon to you, Hoop?
I think I think Mixon is definitely a very strong option, but this game overall, I think, is a very strong option because I think it could be like the highest scoring game on the slate, and there's not many popular chalky plays involved in it. The only guy I think that gets substantial ownership would be Keenan Allen on FanDuel, where he's like 7.3K, cheap price tag there. But outside of that, like, you can get this whole game for the most part at low ownership. Like, no one's playing Mixon, no one's playing Austin Eckler. We've talked about all these cheap running backs. That's where people will go. Mike Williams will be low owned after the hot start to the season. Has cooled off quite a bit. Another low owned option there. And then on the other side, no one plays Jamar Chase ever. T. Higgins. All the pieces in this game are low owned, and I think it has a chance to be the highest scoring game on the slate. It's a close spread, 3. We could see a back and forth between both these teams, and there's offensive explosion spots. I mean, even Herbert. I don't think many people play Herbert. I love Herbert here. I know from passing perspective, he hasn't looked great, but from a fantasy perspective, he always has the slate winning upside. So I think this is one of the better games for GPPs at pretty low ownership.
The thing I like about Herbert today is his rushing upside, because he goes against man, and then he's been running a ton, and he's a guy I love to go up against man. I think last week it was 14.5 yards. This week it's 15.5 yards. So I think when you talk about Herbert too, that no one thinks of him as a running quarterback, Hoop, but I could see him picking some yards up on the ground this week too.
Yeah, in certain spots, he's just taken off. And if he sees it, he's definitely willing to do it. I mean, when was that Steelers game? 9 attempts for 90 yards. Like, if they're giving it. And the thing I like about him, if he picks up some of these chunks, like if he gets a 1 or 2 big runs, like, then he keeps looking to go back to it. Like, he's going to stay on it. So I actually really like him today for DFS purposes.
All right, let's go, Big T. It's your backyard. We got Cincinnati against the Chargers.
You got to drop these little nuggets in there, Holden. You don't drop enough nuggets. You're talking man coverage and running out. Like, I like that. You got to drop these in there on us.
Yeah,
listen for the premium show, buddy. We're not.
That's mine and Big T's like weak points. That's game film shit. Like, we don't pay attention.
Yeah, we're not putting this out.
You got to fill in the voids for us. We got the eye test stuff.
I'll watch the premium. I'll
watch
check.
the
Is that where all the
premium
tidbits come?
Tony.
I'm in. I'll be in on the premium with you guys. I'll watch.
Watch one of your shows once in a while. All right, what do you got here?
I always watch. Stop. But yeah, I love this game, and I mean, everything about it is nice because the Chargers struggle stopping the run. Mixon's maybe the best running back in football so far this year. He's just been really, really good, and he matches up good. And if they can get the lead and the Chargers are playing from behind and they can't do what they do and be overly conservative and sit on the ball, theoretically they should be able to move the ball on offense. And I like Herbert. If I'm not playing Minshew, Herbert is kind of the guy up top that I like. It's just a really clean stack, which I like in tournaments. I mean, you can play 2 guys with him. You can play Mixon. I really like T. Higgins at 5,800. I mean, he looks really good, just really good. So I'm in on this game. I'm not going to play Burrow, but I will play Herbert and the pass catchers, T. Higgins, Mixon. Probably not a ton of Chase either. I feel like he's a little expensive, but the rest of them I'm in.
I mean, you're straight up going Herbert today. Then that's interesting. This is going to be a fascinating game. I think this game and the Washington Raiders game is going to be the 2 that I'm interested if they both go off or not. There's a lot of potential, in both these games, obviously. All right, hit the like button down here. We're at 528. We just want to get to 6 bills for the end of the show. We are definitely on our way there. Great ratio, too. 952 watching, 528 likes. Help us out here. We do this for free for you, and that's all I got. I mean, I'm not a guy that really can guilt anybody into anything. I don't like guilt. I grew up with a lot of it. I don't like it, but if you don't hit the like button, my kids won't eat, or something to that effect. Listen, Hoop's kids have rich parents. If you don't hit the like button, Hoop is not going to be able to feed his kids, though. They will no longer have a rich daddy. He will be out on the street, and it will be the worst mojo of your life. Oh, look at that. They already got up to 5. You guys are the best. And ladies. I know a lot of ladies watch this show. Next game will be the final 1 o'clock game. Hoop, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. I want to start with you on the passing options, the passing game options, because I don't think tournaments that Mike Evans is going to garner nearly the amount of Chris Godwin. Can you just talk about both sides of the receivers here to start the Tampa Bay Atlanta game off?
Definitely not playing any Falcons. It's one of these teams, just a dusty, crappy, shitty team. I just don't want to play them on the slate. I mean, it should kind of be your approach most slates. I mean, the floor with these crap teams are just so low with their fantasy players. I mean, okay, if you've been playing Cordero Patterson, great, continue to play him. You're way ahead of the curve. If you haven't been playing them, I wouldn't be chasing them. On the Bucs side, though, we saw last week a run-heavy approach, and they absolutely dominated using that approach. Leonard Fournette, massive game, all the touchdown regression, moved into his favor. But man, you look at the numbers, and he's just a great fantasy option in general. I mean, you look at the receptions. I mean, Brady's really starting to look to him now. I mean, everyone kind of thought Gio Bernard would be the guy that mix in, but he clearly prefers Leonard Fournette. 8, 6, 7 receptions in the last 3 games. You're looking at 21 receptions. He's averaging over 7 receptions a game basically in his last 3, and that could easily continue here today. I love Fournette going right back to him. The price tag's fair on both sides. 7-3 on DK, and then 7-7 on FanDuel. If you're not playing a lot of Brady, Fournette should be a guy I think that you get a lot of exposure to. Now, in regards to Brady, I think this is a spot where they do pass it a little bit more than they did last week, but the passing game and the running game can both get there. Obviously, they're projected to score over 4 touchdowns. I mean, 31 points here. Godwin kind of stinker last week. He's still 6-6 on DK. I think just a great play. Evans is a great tournament play. Godwin's always going to be higher, especially on DraftKings. Godwin's always going to be higher owned than Evans at similar price points. I think he's totally fine. Gronk at 5.3K. I think he's a fine play. I mean, he looks really good, and Brady obviously trusts him. So a lot to like here on the Bucs side. It's kind of ironic though, because I think my least favorite out of all of them is Tom Brady, just because, like I said, I think it just takes so much for Tom Brady to be the guy that you need at the quarterback position. He's one of the, him and Lamar Jackson are in that top tier today in terms of, raw fantasy points, but I just don't think you need to go there all that often. To me, it's going to take a lot for Tom Brady to be that guy. And I can see like 10 other guys for much cheaper beating him. So I want to be underweight on Tom Brady, overweight on Fournette, like Evans, and I like Godwin. I mean, Godwin can have a huge game without Tom Brady having a massive game. So obviously they're projected to score 31 points. It's a good offensive spot overall.
Godwin just a lock in cash.
6.6K, I would have a hard time not playing them.
Okay. Tony, what do you want to do with Brady and the Bucs today?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Hoop said. Tampa's the team I hate the most on main slates because they're always really in smash spots. The prices are always feel too cheap. And I just never know how much I want to play. Like, I know I want some exposure, but I don't want to play Brady. So who do I play with? And one of the reasons I don't want to play Brady is what Hoop said. I don't want to play any Atlanta guys. Same story I keep talking about. If I play a quarterback, I want to be able to run it back with at least somebody. But you don't really need Brady anyways. You can still play 2 of these people, I think. I wouldn't play 3, obviously, but I think you can play 1 or 2 for sure. Probably should play 1 on most of your teams. just because there's no way at least. I mean, two of these guys probably go off. I just don't see any way around it. So, yeah, Godwin, probably the best play for me. Uncle Lenny, always a good play. I just like running back, so Lenny will probably be the guy. Naturally, I'm always off him, and then he kills me. But I'll be off of Lenny for the most part just because of how much I like running back. And it's easy just to play Godwin as Evans Gronk. I just would rather get my exposure there when running back is super deep this week. So I don't know. That's where I'm at. I'm not going to play any Atlanta guys. Godwin, Evans, Gronk, fading Uncle Lenny.
Fading Uncle Lenny. Minshew officially starting, or not officially. Jeff McClain saying he's going to start because Hurts is going to be inactive. So that's it. Eagles, it's official now. Minshew is starting today. Minshew starting for Hurts. We finally have that news. And so good. We kind of knew that was coming, but I did want to see it get to fruition here. And let's see here. We know that Kyler and Hopkins are playing today. So that's some other injury news that is getting reaffirmed to us here. And the inactives are due out in 23 minutes. So we will see some more news come out here. It is Minshew Mania Day here across the football industry. So excited about that. Let's get some more likes. That'll be nice. We're at 545. We just want to get to 600. We just still want to get to 600. Holden's still selling Herbalife, guys. Please hit the likes to help him out. Oh, I just got that. Is that people go like door to door or something like that? Or they Herbalife? I'm not sure what it is, but I kind of feel like it's the modern day Tupperware party. So like button 545. Let's get to 6. 4 o'clock games, Big T. Here's that other game. Got an eye on. I'm afraid I might be a little bit underweight on it. You tell me what you think. You want to go back to another stat here? We see teams play zone and man a lot. I think the Raiders are idiots. This is the team that played cover 3 against the Chiefs and got absolutely annihilated. I don't know why they decided to do that, but that's why I love Terry McLaurin. And listen, I've been off of Terry McLaurin a lot this season. I don't even feel comfortable playing him today, but today is the day. I think this cover 3, he's going to go bananas, Big T. So give me some Terry McLaurin. It'll be Madison and McLaurin for me, a couple of M's. What do you got from this game?
Yeah, I love that you say that. These are the tidbits we like, Holden. This is what, I mean, I already like them for sure, but then you throw in the cover 3 tidbit, and those are the things that push me up. Like I already had them at a high projection. I'm going to bump them even higher once you give him that little nudge. So I like him. The nice thing about McLaurin is you can get some leverage off of Gibson. And these are all the things in tournaments that just make you better in tournaments. So if you play Gibson as chalk, I really wouldn't play McLaurin on that build just because, I don't know, you want a ceiling from one of these guys. If McLaurin hits a big ceiling, I doubt you get a ceiling from Gibson. Yeah, it could happen, but he's so chalky that it just gives you natural leverage off of him. And the Raiders side is just an easy stackable side where you got Carr. You can run it back on the other way with Gibson and McLaurin, but you got Carr with a lot of cheap pass catchers. You got Hoops Boy, Hunter Renfrow, 5,800. Everyone's going to play him with Carr. And then you got the 4 cheapies. I think if you're playing Carr, you can play any of the cheapies. Foster Moreau is going to be very, very chalky today at 2,700 with that projection. He might see 30s or 40s ownership-wise, I think. And then you got Deshaun Jackson, Zay Jones, Brian Edwards, 3 lower projected guys. I would never play them on teams without Carr. But if you play Carr and you play one of these guys as your second weapon, like I'd play Foster or Renfro and then one of these guys. But if you do that, I think it's great. And you got great run backs, like I already said, with McLaurin and Gibson. So, yeah, I like this game. This is my afternoon game that I'm pretty high on.
Okay. And how much Moreau do you think you'll have? Because I know you want
I like the pivot of Griffin, so right. I'm not going to have a ton. I even think – so you want to talk about a way you can be different. I mean, this is just tournaments. This is what I like to do. You could play Carr, Renfro, and one of the cheap receivers. Fade Moreau, play my boy. You just have a different build with everyone that plays Carr. I can almost promise you everyone that plays Carr today is going to play Foster Moreau. Like, it's just natural.
Mhm.
Why would you not if you're playing Carr? It's just what you're going to do. And then you're going to run it back with McLaurin or Gibson. You're going to have the same build as everybody. Granted, you can get different in other spots. I'm not saying don't do that. Like, do that on some teams for sure. But I think an interesting tournament build, especially in huge fields, is to fade Foster Moreau in a Carr build and play my boy Ryan Griffin for 100 less, the exact same team, and you'll be guaranteed to be unique. Guaranteed. If Griffin outscores Moreau, Carr throws 4 touchdowns, and Moreau somehow doesn't do anything, you are in the winner's circle.
Hoop, what do you got from this game, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great game. A lot of ton of options. I mean, I think Antonio Gibson is just a phenomenal play. I mean, you look at it, 7 receptions last game. No McKissick this week. He's their goal line back. He's going to get the passes. Love him. I think McLaurin, great play as well. I mean, this is a big upside spot, 48, 49 total against the Raiders. And then on the Raiders, you have a ton of plays as well. It's tough this week at running back, but no Jalen Richard. I mean, Josh Jacobs is going to be more active in the passing game. I don't know if I can go there with all the solid options we have, but he's somewhat appealing. Renfro, you guys know I'm going to love Renfro here, obviously. Moreau is going to be super, super, super popular today. In cash games, you just kind of, especially on DraftKings, I mean, a little different on FanDuel, but DraftKings, you just plug them in there and move on. But yeah, this game is good. Heineke, I think, is a great option. Logan Thomas actually looked pretty good last week. That's obviously a boost for him. Really good game. A lot of different ways to go. But Antonio Gibson, I think, is just such a good play this week.
Gibson's the play. Okay.
My only issue with Gibson, he's clearly the best play, like 1,000,000%. It's just the ownership. Like, when running back is this loaded, I do think you can gain a little bit. And I'm going to play a ton of Gibson, so people need to understand exactly what I'm saying. I'm not saying to fade him. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying if I was playing like one team, I do think you can get a little, just because he's the one that's for sure going to be massive, massive chalk. So if he somehow say he gets like 15, which is in the realm of outcomes, and 3 other guys get 30, you got major leverage on the field, which this week could easily happen too. I'm not saying to fade him. I'm just throwing it out there to just think about it, depending on your build.
Adrian Peterson is getting the start for the Seahawks.
How hilarious is that, by the way? It's so funny.
One of the preeminent organizations in football over the last decade, and you just freaking signed Adrian Peterson, Pete Carroll. What sort of contract does What does Pete Carroll have on this organization? I mean, there's a lot of donkey-ass coaches in the NFL. He has to be like top 3, just complete donkey. The game is past him. I mean, it's very simple. The game is completely past him. The team has quit on him. And now you sign Adrian freaking Peterson
on a 3-9 team on top of it. What are you doing?
Man, that's an embarrassment to the. I mean, honestly, it's just an embarrassment to the NFL. I mean, it makes the product just look so shitty. Like, so you got Russell Wilson, you got DK Metcalf, you have Tyler Lockett, like an offense that should be explosive. Like, there's no reason why it shouldn't be an explosive offense in the NFL. And you signed Adrian freaking Peterson to be your starting running back. Just, oh God, that's like so fucking annoying.
We were already on this game, so let's just go with it, man. Let's just go with the garbage that we're seeing. And you know what? I want to get your take on Metcalf then. So we got Seattle and San Francisco here at 4:25 Eastern. Now Seattle's saying we need to get the ball. We're going to force feed. I don't want to say force feed. They're going to try and everything they can do to get the ball to DK Metcalf, guys. DK Metcalf this, DK Metcalf that. Can you let me start there and then run with the rest of it, Tony? DK Metcalf, any interest there? And what do you like from the San Francisco-Seattle game?
So, I mean, one of the things that I do towards the end of the season, these dead teams so Seattle has been a good team for I mean, what, 15 years? I mean, it feels like forever. I mean, 10 years at least, 15 years. As long as Russell Wilson's been there, they've been good. They're finally terrible, and I think they've quit on Pete. Now they're bringing AP in. I just don't see any reason to go to this team. If Seattle beats me today in the 425 slot versus San Francisco team that I think is peaking at the moment, even though Debo's out, they're still playing great, looking for the play. I mean, they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They're playing great right now. Seattle is playing as bad as anyone in football. I see literally no reason to go to Seattle here whatsoever, and I'm not going to. I think these guys will get ownership because of their prices, but it isn't going to be for me. I like Eli Mitchell. You can play Kittle. As far as a pure punt, which I don't think you need this week, you can play this Jennings dude for 3,100. He's looked pretty good to me the last couple weeks. Debo out, he could get some extra targets. But Seattle side, I am definitely not going to.
No bother with it. How about
not even a consideration either? Just not even a thought.
Hoop, any consideration here? I know Alex in the chat just said 49ers D. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm on that too for sure.
You know, Elijah Mitchell is going to be chalk this week, so that's a little disappointing. But he showed just how damn good the guy is. So, Hoop, I think there's some guys you could dig up here. I'm wondering who you think you could dig up in this game.
I'm just going with the straightforward dudes. I mean, if you couldn't tell by my previous comments, I guess I'll lay it out more straightforward. I'm not playing the fucking Seahawks today. They're a disaster. If they beat me, they beat me. I mean, what Big T said is exactly the same thing I had lined up to say. Like, these teams that have been good in the past, you get to the end of the season and this is their first punch in the face. Like, you have no chance of making the playoffs. Your team sucks. You got, guys like Russ that has he won a Super Bowl, right? Super Bowl winning.
He should have won 2 in a row.
Yeah. Super Bowl winning quarterback. Like, he is not going to get up to end this season. So if the Seahawks,
I think he hates Pete too, honestly.
Yeah,
like he wants a divorce.
He hates him.
Just think about just go back to last season, that first half of that season. I can still remember talking about it on those Showdown shows because they're on Showdown a ton. And it's like, man, this offense is clicking. They're letting Russ do his thing. They look great. And then halfway through the season, they say, you know what? We're gonna establish the run. And then their team went to shit.
They've never been the same, right? They just haven't ever been back.
So yeah, long story short, if DK Metcalf somehow gets 8 receptions, 140 and 2 touchdowns, cool. I'll move on to the Showdown slate tonight, and I won't give a shit. On the Niners side, yeah, Elijah Mitchell just in a phenomenal spot here. 6 targets last game, 5 receptions. He just looked really, really good out there. They're going to be able to run the ball in this Seattle defense. No Debo is a boost to him. Brandon Ayuk, I think, is a really good option. More so on DK. On FanDuel, he's 7K, but on DK, he's 5.6K. Kittle, more in play on FanDuel as well. He's 6.3K, which I think is a really good price tag for him over there. But yeah, Eli Mitchell's the main guy here. He should just smash in this spot.
So we're almost to 600, guys. You almost hit your good mojo thing here. We're at 574. Please hit the like button. That would make us very happy. We have inactives coming out. They're leaking out right now. We'll break down every single inactive on the premium show with JSU. Best in the business there, man. And the dude keeps hitting for massive amounts of dollars, but doesn't tell anybody.
I'll talk these guys up like none other. So this is the truth. This is honestly how I feel. I think Hoop is easily the best small 100-man high stakes. He's the best. There's no one better in the industry. We got him at Runpure. No one's better than him. I don't think anyone's better tournament wise than JSU. 1 to 3 entries, absolute best playing tournaments. 1 to 3 entries. We got the 2 best on our team, and then you got everyone else that does things too. But as far as how we can help you, those 2 can help you more than anyone because it's not 150 teams. There's people better in the industry at entering 150. Make no mistake about it. We don't have the best. I'm not the best. They're not the best at that. But as far as single entry 3 teams, no one's better than Hoop and JSU in their own little niches. And you get access to them for $80 a month.
Yep. You don't get to, annoy them as much as I do, but in the Discord, like you can hit them up and they'll actually get back to you.
That NBA Discord.
Don't start with the
I
NBA.
talk about it all the time, but if you don't look at it for a minute, it'll say like 173 messages. It is absolutely outrageous.
Anxiety just looking at it. They go. They go like. I mean, it is fast and furious. Like it is like
it's unreal.
Yeah.
Like I'll be caught up. I'll go to like get a drink, come back. It'll say like 47. It's like how the hell?
I gotta give a shout out to our boy Glock too. Brought him on to start the NBA season. Does some work on the playbooks, core plays. He's in that freaking thing answering everyone's questions. A great addition, and honestly, like he knows the NBA better than anyone on our team. I just want to give Glock a little shout out. Just doing a phenomenal job, just crushing it every night in that Discord chat, answering like everybody's questions every night.
And it's not easy in there.
No, true hero.
True hero? I'd like to hear that.
Yeah. I used to be better in there. I'll take the L myself because, man, I get tilted when people start tilting in there, and I just can't handle it.
Yeah. But it ruins my whole night. Like Holden said, if you have direct questions for any of us, just shoot us a DM in there, and we'll get back to you and answer them.
No doubt. They actually do. And that's, I always talk about the cores and the shows, and the Discord is sensational.
Oh yeah,
except for the NBA Discord late at night.
It's still good. It's just you got to stay out between certain hours. The rest of the day, it's awesome.
Ricky, just some quick news here. Ricky Seals-Jones expected to sit, so I think there's another bump to Logan Thomas. Is what we'll look at. So just think about that. Boom. And besides for that, let's just get to these last two games here. Are we at 600 yet? 587. Come on, 13 more. Some of you have been watching.
We're there.
The like button.
It's coming.
Huh?
I said it's coming. We're there. We're going to be there.
All right, Jacksonville and the Rams. Me and JT Hayes love the Matt Stafford today. It's always tough to go against Cooper Kupp. I think Van Jefferson's got to be in the mix too, guys. Sony Michel getting some love right now. Want to get your thoughts on him. And then on the other side with Jacksonville, like, why do we even want to bother? So do you guys have to have a run back if you're running a Ram stack today? Seriously, do you have to have a run back?
For me, we're going to get in the same talk we've had all show. For me, other people don't have the same feelings I do. In tournaments, I just don't. There's other quarterbacks you can play. So if I'm stacking it, I want to run back. But just because I like guys, sure, you could play maybe a cheap stack. The only time I would say you don't need a run back is if you played a quarterback with two cheap guys like Beckham and Jefferson, for example. Then I don't think you. But if you play Cooper Kupp at 9K, I just don't know how you get your ceiling from your guys without a run back. That's just my opinion. I know people disagree with me. That's why I won't play Stafford today. I just won't, because I don't want to play a Jacksonville guy. So I'll just play Cooper Kupp, Beckham, Jefferson, even Sony Michel, and no run back. I don't need Stafford in that because then I don't need a run back. That's just the way I do it. I know people disagree. That's okay with me.
Yeah, I think it's like a team and slate dependent conversation. Like if you're playing a quarterback and two pass catchers, like I think you always want a run back, but I'm more okay. And I don't know if it's right or wrong. I would obviously have not run the numbers on this, but in my head, if I'm playing a quarterback with one wide receiver, I'm fine without a run back. Personal preference.
It's field size.
I'm playing different events though, too. Like
short field.
I'm not playing 150 teams and going for the million in NFL main slates. I'm playing smaller field type event. So it's a different mindset for that for sure.
Okay. We want to get into this here with the Rams and the Jags.
So I mean, it sounds like Henderson's going to be out. Sony Michel is dirt cheap. He's 4.3. I think this is where Big T's construction is going to find its uniqueness based on this game, because we have another cheap running back here in Sony Michel. It's going to be very popular with Henderson most likely out. People are going to play these cheap running backs, and what they're going to do is be forced to spend at wide receiver, and they're going to play Cooper Kupp. So this is the route, the build that everyone will be going with today, the cheap running backs and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's ownership, I think, is going to be massive on this slate. Absolutely massive. Yes, the price tag's up there at $9K, but when you have the cheap tight end that we have, you have the cheap running backs, you don't have a priority spend at quarterback. Everyone's spending on Cooper Kupp. I think Kupp has a chance to be the highest owned guy on the slate. Actually, I take that back. Moreau will be. He's going to be a top 3 owned guy on the slate because roster construction just lends you to spending up at the wide receiver position. So if you're playing in tournaments, do what you will with that information. Kupp is going to be massively owned today because people will spend at wide receiver by default. Van Jefferson, I do like quite a bit. I mean, I don't want to totally exclude this Rams situation in tournaments. I wouldn't do that. Like if you're not playing Kupp, if you're going to go the different approach and spend up at running back, make sure you play a guy like Van Jefferson who has big upside. Make sure you play Higbee. And then on the Jaguars, I'm not, no thanks on anyone.
Won't bother. Okay. Tony, give me some, you got anything else to break down this game or no?
Yeah, I mean, in tournaments, so this projection for Sony is literally outrageous to me. I wish I could bet a lot of money on under on his projection. Like, it's literally outrageous to me. So I could not be happier that people are playing him. He's going to come in 40, 50%. This is why I'm going to win money today, because people are playing Sony Michel over these stud running backs that, yeah, they're not the same price, but give me the stud running backs and a cheaper guy over Sony Michel and Cooper Kupp. Not even to mention that they're on the same team, and I think people will use them together because people don't think about correlation very much. I think Sony Michel sucks. And so Holden, you're good with these questions. Who else do we even got? Like, is there other running backs? Who do they got?
For the Rams?
Yeah, like who do they got?
There's nobody else. Listen,
like who's their body though? They got to have a body. Who is it?
It's Henderson. They got that. I don't even know who it is. Name
like
is.
Literally nobody. Then
Piece of shit. Yes, Michelle.
But the Rams naturally want to throw the ball. They've been bad. How many games in a row have they lost? 3?
At least 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So they need to get this passing game going. They want to get Beckham going. You want to talk about leverage city? I might have just talked myself into Stafford. This is why I like doing these shows. Stafford, Beckham, Jefferson, 5,500, 5,300. Yes. You fade Cooper Kupp. You fade Sony Michel. I don't even need a run back after I just gave the spiel before Hoop said it. If I play the 2 cheap receivers, I get off of 45% on Cooper Kupp and 40% on Sony Michel. And I can stack this. I get leverage city. I think Sony Michel is just absolutely a horrible play, but that's just me in tournaments. I don't understand how he can have a 21 projection. That makes no sense to me.
That's like a field play for me that I don't like him though.
It's a field play for me too because he's going to get volume versus Jackson.
That's what I'm saying. He's going to get a ton of volume, but if there's one thing they're above average at is stopping the run. But God, if he gets 20 carries, like how does he not fall into like 70 yards and a touchdown at 4,200?
He could, but that's not going to be enough. I don't think
it's not going to win it for you.
I mean, his projection is 20, 21 around there. I just don't get that. Like, can we bet it on DraftKings? Like, is there a line out there for that? Like, is fantasy points? Is it that high? I wish I could bet a lot of money that he finishes under 21 fantasy points.
Under 21. Yeah.
That's his projection. His projection around the industry is that high.
That's heavy. There's no
and I just don't get it. Like, there's so many good running backs on this. I don't get it.
Hoop, did you talk much about Sony Michel? Can I get your thoughts on Sony Michel again? Here.
Sneeze. Not coming.
It's the worst. Now I know about a sneeze.
It's past me. I like him a little bit more just because you're looking at a Rams team. They're favored by essentially 2 touchdowns with Henderson out. We know if they haven't won, they've lost 3 games in a row. If they get a lead in the second half, they're not going to be taking many chances. I think they could just turn this over to him and he could mop up. But yeah, 21 fantasy points. That's a little bit much. Like I'd say like probably high teens, like 17, I think is a fair number for him in tournaments. Though, like Tony said, that might not be enough. I mean, we could have multiple guys that get mid to upper 20s, maybe 30 at the running back position. It's a loaded position this week. So, like I said, upper teens, I think he's a safe option. they're facing the freaking Jaguars. They're favored by 2 touchdowns. He's going to have opportunities here today.
I'm calling my shot right now. This will be a big week for me. I feel very good about this slate. The chat's just killing me about Sony. Okay, so what? He gets 20 carries and 4 catches. You guys are not understanding opportunity cost. If he gets 15 fantasy points, I'm fine with that.
Well,
the only way Sony Michel is beating me is if he gets like 25. And I don't think he's getting 25, so I'll take my chances.
All right. I like it. Let me just look at one.
I think he's going to get like 12. I'll give my projection for him.
12.
Yeah.
12. Okay. I'm not totally against that. I think on DraftKings, I'll probably have a couple more getting a couple catches, but there is something about this. It just doesn't sit right with me.
I'm not convinced. I'll throw another take. I'm not convinced someone else doesn't get the load. I don't know who else is running back. I'm not convinced someone else doesn't get. I don't think they're going to give Sony Michel some outrageous day's work. I'll just say it. I mean, I know people won't agree with that. That's fine.
Let me at least look up who it is because I just have no idea. They came into the season.
If Henderson's out, he's
Sargent.
Just mark my words. Just remember later in the day. It's been a good week for my takes. I'm feeling good about myself.
All right.
I just remember that take later today when someone else scores and everyone tilts it.
Anthony Barr is inactive for the Vikings. Those of you that are interested in Jamal Williams should know that. Roquan Smith is actually active for the Bears. So that could be interesting. As you know, I was talking about James Conner, not for DFS, more for a betting thing, but that's interesting. Boom. Just I'm looking through these here right now. Oh, Kendricks is out too. Boy, guys, let's go back to the
Here we go with the holding takes. Let me get my pen out.
Hold on. Let's go back to the Williams conversation real quick because Barr's out and Kendricks is out. I mean, we're talking about the top linebackers on the Vikings today, guys. The top linebackers on the Vikings.
Tell us to play Jamal Williams and I'll play him.
He's getting a bump up. He's getting a bump up. That's all I'm saying. He's getting a bump up.
Okay, I'll play him. I took an oath to never fade one of the guys you like again.
I didn't. Well, I like guys more. Madison.
Wishy-washy on me. Say you like him.
What do I got here? I got to see if I got him in any. You know what? I do have him in a lineup with JSU's core. So, yeah. Go from like 0% to 5%. You'll be fine. Kyler is active. Hopkins is active. So I think that's a couple of big pieces of news there with the Cardinals, even though everybody is going to stay away from that. Boston Scott is good to go. So he is there. This is just a first look at this stuff, guys, too. So we're really going to break it down on the Up to Lock show. It's a premium show. And if you want to get in on that, RPS Heater 25% off your first payment on a monthly subscription. That's really what I'm seeing from these inactives. You know, I don't know if you guys actually want to talk and make it so I'm not sitting here just talking to myself, but go for it. You know, we're at 609. Are we done with the games? Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Let's do this one real quick, guys. Hoop, any thoughts on Baltimore, Pittsburgh? Lamar, obviously up there. I'm just going to warn people on Najee again. 87% of the touches 3 weeks ago, and he had 58% last week. And I think they're realizing that they're fucked and they don't want to run this guy into the ground. So
probably a smart move.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Deontay Johnson's always fine. Like way better DraftKings play, just gets a shit ton of targets. So I think he's a fine option. I can't imagine clicking any other name on the Steelers today. On the Ravens side, I guess Lamar Jackson, probably more of like a cash game play if you're going like all the cheap, if you're going all the cheap running backs and you have all the money in the world at quarterback, fine with Lamar Jackson. But again, he's not a great actual life quarterback. We saw it last week, 4 interceptions. Just not a great spot. Low total game. I'm fine mostly being off it.
Okay, guys.
I'm going to give my first ever on this show inactives inspired by Holden, but I got a lower mix and the Bengals got 2 linemen out, and that does worry me.
And that sucks because I have a lot on Mixon today.
I do too. I
like
wasn't
outside of DFS too.
Yeah.
So that
I
is
like seeing that.
You know what though? they're without Linval Joseph, but yeah, I can see knocking him down. So what do you got, Taylor?
Just because of how loaded running back is.
Yeah, Taylor's at the top.
9.
Taylor, Madison, Mitchell, Williams. Who am I missing here? Who's the other running back you like? I might be throwing guys out there you don't like, but
I don't have my list.
Okay, you don't have your list.
There's a lot of them I like though.
You want to talk about Ravens? Chargers?
No, I don't like
Ravens,
this game. I
Steelers?
mean, this game, Pittsburgh games have played ugly. Pittsburgh has owned Lamar. They've slowed him down. I don't like Baltimore. I think Baltimore's super overrated. This game being a 425 game, this game is just like very, very easy fade for me.
Very easy fade. All right, guys. Yeah. Time for the plays of the day. Let's do it. Congrats to you for hitting us on 611 likes with about 1,000 watching. It was wonderful, wonderful. Good to see that. Good to see that. Let's do the workbench right off the bat here. Workbench play of the day. Do not fade it. Who is it, Big T?
Who do I want to give for the workbench?
You can come to me first. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ready to roll. Let's go.
Ready to roll. Rich Parents play today. We're going to switch it up here on the fly. We're going Rich Parents first. Rich Parents play of the day. Going to the Chargers Bengals game. I'm going to my boy Mike Williams. Really didn't say much about him.
Now we are aligned today. You're spoiling me today.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Wow.
Woo! I love Big Mike.
Yeah, Big Mike. I think is going to have a big game here. I really think this will go back, and I actually like that a little bit better from a stacking this game standpoint with their linemen out. Like I think we could see some more back and forth for that reason. So give me Big Mike Williams, Rich Parents play of the day. Let's get it done here today.
I like it, Big Mike. Let's go, Big T. Who's your play of the day?
To find a good one here. I know the chat was making fun of a few of my plays. I was the funny thing is I had a few guys that Big Mike was one of them, and McLaurin was another one that I was thinking, and Holden might give him out. So I'm going to save him for Holden. And you know what? I'll just go with my leverage play. Ryan Griffin. Everyone made fun of him. Foster Moreau is going to be by far the highest owned, maybe even player on the slate. He could get a donut easy. And Ryan Griffin, I love the leverage. I love that the chat was making fun of me. Everything is aligned today. Me and Hoop are aligned on most things. It's going to be a big day. I'm calling my shot. And Ryan Griffin is going to lead me to some success, whether that's 8 points, 10 points, 12 points. Not saying he's going to go for 30, but he's 2,600. I'll take my chances.
One of their tight ends ruled out. I don't know if he plays at all, but Trayvon Wesco is out, like one of the Jets tight ends. So, I mean,
yeah, just clearing more of a path.
All right. Everybody's going to be on it. Yep. You know, my guys are Madison and McLaurin. Just give me the double M's today. Madison will be definitely a top 5 running back option when it's all said and done. And then McLaurin for a big play or two today against the Raiders, who are just completely idiotic defensively. I don't understand what their game plans are week to week, and it doesn't make sense. All right, guys, like button on the way out, guys and ladies. Really appreciate it. Love that Mike Williams call. I'm going to have to tinker with a lineup or two maybe now with that. And for Big T and for Hoop, make sure you head over to the premium side. Me, JSU, JJ from the bet side. Be taking you right up to lock, breaking down all of the inactives. And I'm looking forward to seeing what JSU has to say about Joe Mixon with those two rookies starting.
Chat's just killing me about Ryan Griffin too. Chat leading me to last place. The 2,600 guys leading me to last place. Holden, it's gonna be a tough slate.
Well, we almost might have to do a special, hey, I told you so show tomorrow.
I know he's gonna come through too. Like I'm 100% certain he's gonna crush for me. So I love. Wow. There's nothing I love more in DFS than when people make fun of me and I have a ton of conviction on something. It's my favorite. I love it. I thrive on it.
Boy. Are you in your core? I'll ask you. Just let's get off the air, and I got a question for you, only for subscribers. Simon, get us out of here.